Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic. Now, every day on the John Campea Show, we save a little bit of time to take live questions from the audience. But here on Open Mic, particularly on the weekends, that's all we do. It's just all open forum discussion, talking about our favorite things in the world, mostly movies and movie news, a little bit of television, maybe some sports here and there. But that's what we like to do. And listen, because it's Saturday, and I don't have anything going on till like 3 o'clock today, I'll tell you what, this show, we're going to go as long as you guys want. And if that means we have enough questions to cover a half hour, we'll go a half hour today. If it means we're going to go 2.5 hours, then we'll go 2.5 hours today. But we're going to go until I got to get out of here, which is like hours from now, so we're all good. Hey, you know what? Watch for the John Campea Show on Monday, because Ann and I did something really fun this morning. We got invited, Warner Brothers invited me to this special Lego Movie 2, the second piece, experience down in Hollywood. And we went, and it was a lot of fun. And we did this box opening. We took a bunch of pictures, and I'll share all that stuff on Mondays to John Campea Show. But, you know, I was already very excited for the Lego Movie 2 because I love the original Lego Movie. You guys know this. Can't wait to see that. So special thanks to Warner Brothers for having us down. And we had a very good time. So with all that out of the way, guys, this is all about taking live questions. So let's do that right now as I pull over the live questions. And we're going to get things started here today with Samuel Pole, who writes, curious if you miss good old Canadian healthcare. Yes, I do. It is crazy that people here have to worry about getting hurt because if they get hurt, they can't afford to fix it. It's dumb. For the longest time, I used to tell people when people say, what's your health plan? When I was here, I said, I'll tell you what my health plan is. If I start to feel sick, I'm going to the airport and flying to Vancouver and getting myself fixed. That's my health plan. Of course, now today, Ann and I have very good health insurance here. It's all good. It's all great. But yep, I miss Canadian healthcare very, very much. Best in the world. I'm upset writes, thoughts on Roman Reigns joining Hobbs and Shaw? Tell you what, I only saw that this morning. I just saw that this morning. I think that's great. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of Roman Reigns' wrestling character. I'm not a big fan of it, but you know, he had to step down because he's fighting a form of cancer again. He fought it before, got better, entered the WWE, but now he had to leave again because of it. So everybody's cheering for him. I think it's great. He's actually Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's cousin or second cousin or something like that. He's a big, huge, intimidating looking dude. He'll fit in perfectly. I'm sure they're not going to call on him to do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to acting. So I think it's great. I think it's great that he's in there. Let's see. James Welsh writes, thoughts on the Ted Bundy trailer? Love it. What is it? Like extremely evil, vile, awful human being? The worst? The movie. I can't even remember the exact name of the title of the movie, but it was wonderful. I thought it was great. I thought the trailer did a great job. First of all, the title is extremely evil, vile, disgusting, whatever the name of the movie is. It's these horrible, horrible things, right? But the trailer captures the charm of Ted Bundy, which is what got him going, which is what got him to be so overlooked because he's so charming. So many people overlook it. And I thought the trailer was a great blend of that. I cannot wait to see this movie. You guys have known I'm a big fan of... I'm a big fan of Zac Efron, and I've frozen on his name. I'm a big fan of Zac Efron as an actor. Not always in the best movies, but I think he's a tremendous, talented actor, and I cannot wait to see this. I thought the trailer was great. Logan James Kinniston writes, I was watching an interview with Mel Gibson, and he thinks that he's a better director than he is an actor. Whew. What are your thoughts? I think he's great at both, but I'd say directing. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, first of all, a lot of people forget just how good of an actor he is. Because, look, you put him in... What was the Expendables movie? 3? Is that the one he was in? He outclassed everybody in that movie. Now, that's not the hardest thing to say because it's not like Expendables 3 had all the greatest actors in the world. But if you play that Sesame Street game, one of these things is not like the other. It was Mel Gibson in that movie because his acting chops are through the roof. Whatever you think about Mel Gibson, and that's totally fine. Everybody can have their opinions about Mel Gibson, and I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm just not. I respect that. You can't deny the dude is a world-class actor because he was just on a different plane when he was like an and in everything he's in. He just owns it when he's in it. But I'm going to agree with you, Logan, and by extension agree with Mel Gibson. He's an even better director. Hacksaw Ridge Oh my God. Apocalypto. Dear heavens. I mean, I was aghast when I put up a poll, because I was going through the television the other day and came across Braveheart, one of the best movies ever made, period. And I put up a poll because I was just so overwhelmed by how amazing that movie is. So I put up a poll, hey, would you guys say, I can't remember exactly how I put it, but that Braveheart is like a top 5 movie all time, top 10, top 25, or not even in the top 25. I was aghast how many people said not even top 25. I'm like, am I living on a planet of crazy people? Like, all film is subjective, granted, but I'm like, I'm living on a planet of crazy people. For so many people not to even say Braveheart is top 25? Are you kidding me? That movie's brilliant. Brilliant. But yeah, I'm going to agree with him, Logan. I think he's an even better director than he is an actor, and that's saying something because I think he's a hell of an actor. Again, we're not talking about any other opinions you may have of Mel Gibson, which you have every right to have. We're simply talking about talent as an actor, talent as a director. He's filled to the rim with both, but I would think he's an even better director. Oh, Hacksaw Ridge is so good. Anyway. All right, thanks a lot for that, Logan. Jason writes, obviously Bride of Frankenstein isn't coming next month. Really? Yeah. So what do you think the universe is actually dead and can revive it? Love the show. So yes, the Bride of Frankenstein was supposed to be the next installment of the great universal shared monster universe, as they called it, the Dark Universe, which is a stupid name for their shared cinematic universe. This whole universe, and I love Universal, but this whole experiment of them was a class in how not to do things and how to do things wrong. Because before they even had The Mummy in theaters, they're promoting their next 4 movies coming out from that, having all the stars from all the movies posing in these magazine cover pictures together, and we're making this. How about you put the first movie out? How about that? Mention you've got a plan for future movies. Sure, say we got a plan for future movies, but why don't you just worry about the first movie for now? Put that in theaters and see how it does. Now, I didn't think Tom Cruise's The Mummy was the huge train wreck that some other people thought. I thought it was okay at best, but okay. That was all right. But it did not do well with people, and it did not do well with critics, and it didn't do all that great at the box office. It wasn't, again, a total disaster at the box office. It made a bunch of money at the box office, but ultimately barely broke even, if it broke even, which derailed the entire monster universe. So how about, guys, next time, get your first movie in theater first before announcing the titles and the cast and the stars and the directors for the next 5 films. How about that? Anyway, I think it's dead. I think it's done, finito, gone. Now, they'll take another run at it someday. Of that, I have no doubt. But as of right now, I think the whole thing's dead. Spencer Smothers writes, what movies do you think will have Super Bowl spots? I'm not really sure because, I'm not thinking Disney's going to have any. I don't feel like they feel the need that they have to, because remember, these spots on the Super Bowl are expensive as hell. I think the last I heard, you're talking $2.5 million for one spot. For one spot. Is that worth it? I don't know. And that means your movie's got to have one hell of a marketing budget. Do you want to use 10% of your marketing budget, or 5% of an entire 5% of your marketing budget for one television spot on one broadcast? I don't know. That's a tough sell, man. So honestly, I'm not sure. I won't be surprised, to be honest with you, if we don't see a lot of Super Bowl trailers. I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see a lot. As to which ones they might be, I have no idea. Now watch. They'll do a Avengers trailer. They'll do a Star Wars Episode 9 trailer. Now watch, they'll do all that. But I'm guessing that Disney won't have any. But again, just a guess. I'm not saying I've heard that from anybody. That's just me as a fan speculating. That's all. So I'm not really sure, man. We'll have to wait and see. Snake Jerusalem writes, any news on The Accountant 2, or is it dead? I don't think it's dead. Now, for those of you who don't remember, they announced a while ago. Sorry, let me rephrase. It was not announced. Just some of the major trades got wind of it and broke the story that Warner Brothers and Ben Affleck were going to do another Accountant movie, because the first one was great. I love that accountant movie. Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, great. I thought the movie was fantastic, and it ended wonderfully, and it opened the door for a sequel easily. It's great, but it didn't make a lot of money, so I didn't think they would do one. Apparently they are, but obviously all the personal troubles Ben Affleck's been having, I'm sure, sidelined a lot of the Accountant 2 plans, but I don't think it's dead. I still expect that we'll see that going. Maybe we'll hear some more about it this year. So let's just keep our ears open. Javier Rios 405 writes, don't like how they keep mentioning the X-Men and the Gifted. The X-Men trusted us, or we're doing this for the X-Men. I just feel it's unnecessary other than that, like the show a lot. I love the Gifted. Now, whereas sometimes, like, I honestly don't feel like they mention the X-Men much at all. I feel like every few episodes, you'll get a X-Men reference. Every few episodes. Like, it's not like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't as bad at this anymore, but in the first few seasons, like, every fifth word was blah, 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 Avengers, blah, 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 Iron Man, blah, 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 Thor, blah, blah, blah. You know, it just... Look, guys, but with Gifted, I feel like it, because you got to understand the world they live in. And the world they live in, to mutants, the X-Men are gods. I mean, the X-Men are what they all aspire to, and they are mutant kinds. They are seen by mutants as their great hope. They are the best of them. They're heroes, they're gods, blah, 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 blah. They revere the X-Men, the mutants in that Gifted universe. They revere the X-Men. So, to me, it actually narratively fits that every once in a while they will remind themselves, hey, the cream of the crop, the ones we aspire to be, the ones who we put our hope in, the X-Men, we're doing this for the X-Men. The X-Men entrusted us. I believe that isn't force-fed. That feels natural to me. And again, I'm not going to speak for you. I'm just saying for me as an audience member, that feels natural to me. Understanding the environment and the context that the show takes place in, it feels normal and natural. Now, if they did it every single episode, maybe it'd start to rub me the wrong way. I don't know why they won't say Magneto. Like they're dancing around the name Magneto so much, but whatever. By the way, I haven't started watching. I got to get caught up on him. A couple episodes behind right now, so who sees? We'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, I love that show, dude. I'm with you on that. I love that show. All right, Javier Rios 405 follows that up with, do you think they'll ever explain what happened to the X-Men and the Gifted? I think so. I think they will. They're building up. And I think at some point you're going to get X-Men appearances. But I'm glad they're not rushing that. I'm glad they didn't have any of that in season 1. But yeah, I do believe at some point the Mutant Underground is going to start getting covert messages sent to them, basically hinting to the return of the X-Men, right? And I think something like that's going to happen. So when? Season 3? Season 4? Is there even going to be a season 3 with the Fox and Disney merge? Who knows? We're going to have to wait and find out. But I think it's probably in their blueprints. We'll just see if they can actually execute. Cameron Belgrade writes, finally became a Patreon supporter last week. Thank you, Cameron. You're one of the people who helps keep this show alive. I appreciate that, man, very much. Also, wanted to ask your thoughts on Fincher's Zodiac, one of my favorite movies of all time. You know what? Here's the funny thing about Zodiac. I have many friends. You are in good company, Cameron. I have many friends of mine who just revere that movie, Zodiac. I like Zodiac. So look, let's be clear here. If there are two camps, the Zodiac isn't good camp and the Zodiac is good camp, I am in the Zodiac is good camp. So don't misquote me here. I will admit I do not revere the film as much as a lot of my friends do and as much as a lot of people do. I think it is a good movie. I think it is a solid movie. Thumbs up from me. But I just don't revere it. But by the way, when you look back at it, what a cast. I mean, even at the time, you knew the cast was really special and really great. But now you fast forward and like some of these guys have just gotten even bigger and bigger. Of course, you got some Avengers connections in that movie as well. So I like it. I just don't revere it as much as smarter people than me seem to revere it, including somebody smarter than me like you. All right. Godzilla Love Campea writes, Bradley Cooper will be a good Batman. I do not know what we're talking about. Did I miss and are you saying he would be a good Batman? Are you saying he would be a good Batman, or are you saying he will be? I don't see anything, so I'm going to guess. I'm going to go on a limb here and guess that you're saying he would be a good Batman. Well, I mean, you know the way I think. A movie role, get a talented actor. Is Bradley Cooper a talented actor? Yes. So would he be a good Batman? Sure. I believe there are a dozen other guys who'd be a good Batman too. Bradley Cooper wouldn't be my first pick, but he's a good actor. Yes, if they announced Bradley Cooper tomorrow as Batman, I'd be on board because he's a good actor. That's all I need to know. All right, Brian Esparza writes, what's your favorite Yorgo Lanthimos film? I've only seen a few. I think 3 or 4 total that I've seen. Now, everybody right now is talking about The Favorite, obviously. I mean, it's probably going to win a couple of Oscars. Coleman's probably going to win Best Actress. Either, Stone or, it might end up, it's got 2 actresses nominated for Best Supporting Actress. It's not going to win Best Picture, but it could walk away with a couple of Oscars this year. But for me, it's still The Lobster. And The Lobster is one of those films that, Ben Whishaw, Colin Farrell, John C. Reilly. Anyway, it's one of those films that people either really don't like because it's so weird or just for some reason it hits you the right way. The Lobster is a film that just hit me the right way. It just really hit me the right way. So I'm going to go The Lobster on that. All right. Spencer Smothers writes, Happy Season 2, March 27th. Have you seen Season 1 yet? No, which is crazy and inexcusable because a friend of mine is the director of that. A friend of mine, Brian Taylor, is the director. And it's so funny because when I saw the trailer, remember that Mom and Dad movie that he did with Selma Blair and Nicolas Cage, where some kind of virus hits the world that compels parents to want to kill their children? It's a crazy looking trailer. And when the trailer first dropped, and I saw the trailer, because I knew a year before that Brian was making it, because Brian's like, I'm going over, because he went to Prague or somewhere to film it. I can't remember where he filmed that movie, but I'm shooting this new one with Nick Cage, blah, blah, blah. So then I saw the trailer and I text Brian. I'm like, dude, just saw the trailer. It looks awesome. I can't wait to see this, right? And so he texts me back. He goes, awesome. Thanks, man. Have you seen Happy yet? And here's how bad I am. All right. I had barely even ever heard of Happy. I had no idea he was even remotely connected to it. And I didn't even respond to his text message because I thought he was just talking about some show he liked. So by the way, have you seen this show? And it wasn't until months later that I put 2 and 2 together and realized Brian had directed that. I had no idea. None. To this day, I had no idea. So no, I still haven't seen Happy, but I've had tons of you guys tell me that it's awesome and I need to check it out. ZOMG Ruler writes, Levi says Cavill isn't done as Superman. Thoughts? Levi doesn't actually know anything. Zach Levi doesn't know. He's an actor. He is not a Warner Brothers executive. If he's not done as Superman, where's his next movie? Where is it? Oh, Warner Brothers said they have no plans for another Superman movie? Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I love Zach Levi. And hey, he's just saying as far as he knows, but he is not a Warner Brothers executive. He doesn't know. If Henry Cavill was still Superman, Warner Brothers just would have said, Henry Cavill is still our Superman. They wouldn't have put out that BS statement that said, while we love working with Henry, we currently have no plans for another Superman movie. I mean, that says everything. If he's still your Superman, Warner Brothers would have said, Henry Cavill is still our Superman. But they didn't. So I don't think we're going to see Henry Cavill as Superman again. Damn, I hope we do. I hope we do. Holy crap, I hope we do. He is my all-time favorite Superman. Henry Cavill is my all-time favorite Superman. I want to see him as Superman again. But I don't think it's going to happen. And Zachary Levi, as much as I adore Zach, he wouldn't know. He simply wouldn't know. Ben Rayner writes, when a big MCU movie or a DCU movie comes out, would you ever do a live spoiler discussion with Rob? Like make it a special weekly hero or something? Nah, probably not. It's just a lot easier. Instead of getting Rob to drive in from Pasadena, it's just easier for me to turn on the camera and do it. Not to mention, I mean, look, I'm one of these guys. I'm sure Rob would do a lot of stuff for free if I asked him to. But I'm just one of these guys that I believe people should be paid. So every time Rob does the John Campea show or a Weekly Hero, I pay Rob. Because he deserves to be paid for his time. And I insist on paying Rob. So I mean, it would be another video I'd have to pay Rob for to do. So, no, I don't think so. I don't think, no, live sport, definitely reviews. Like when Endgame comes out, absolutely me and Rob will do a review of it and then we'll review it again on Weekly Hero and then we'll review it again on the John Campea show, blah, blah, but just live spoiler discussions. No. And the other thing is this, if I had Rob or anybody else doing the live spoiler discussion with me, we'd get through fewer questions, right? We wouldn't get to as many. And those live spoiler discussion videos, a lot of people send in stuff because they want to talk about it. And it would hurt that. So I'm not going to say absolutely not, but I'm going to say I doubt it. But not zero. So you're saying there's a chance. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Orange Hand writes, better shows overall, Netflix, Marvel, or CWDC? Gosh. Let's put it this way. Netflix has the best show in Daredevil. Daredevil's the best out of any Netflix, Marvel, or CW show. Daredevil. But they also have some really, really garbage ones. I thought Luke Cage season 2 was awful. Just awful. Iron Fist was terrible. Iron Fist season 2 was an improvement, but still not good. I know a lot of you guys like the Jessica Jones ones. God bless you. I thought they were bad. I did not like the Jessica Jones. So they've got the best ones like Punisher, Daredevil, but they also have some real crap. Marvel, you guys know what I think about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is terrible. Other than Clark Gregg, who is the man. Clark Gregg is the man. But other than him, and Ming-Na. Ming-Na is fantastic. But other than that, that show's terrible. I hate that show. And yet I watch every single episode because I'm a sucker. Anyway, so there's that. But, you know, then you get shows like The Gifted, which I really like, Runaways, which I really like. Then you get CW, you know, certain seasons of Arrow were fantastic. A lot of The Flash is fantastic. I'm loving Black Lightning so far. Supergirl can go to hell. Gosh, you know what? If you're going to say the overall average, I go CW. If you're going to go overall average, I go CW. Best individual show, well, that goes to Netflix for Daredevil. Brian Esparza writes, no movie has positive reception this year so far. Is that true? I'm not completely sure that's true. Hold on a second. Actually, no, that's not true. The Kid Who Would Be King is getting a very good reception, as a matter of fact. Stan and Ollie's opening this week, and it's got a 92%. The Kid Who Would Be King has a 86%. Serenity's got 22. King of Thieves, 31. Glass, 36. The Upside, 39%. Blah, blah, blah. But there have been a couple. So Stan and Ollie's an example. The Kid Who Would Be King is an example. So yeah, there are a couple that have positive receptions this year. Stubble McShave writes, will we see you as a manager or competitor in the Schmodown since they're not connected to Collider anymore? No, not at all. Now, let me be very clear about this because people love whenever anything about that place I used to work comes up, people love twisting my words. Let me be very clear. I love Mark and Christian. You guys know I'm the one who hired them. I'm the one who brought Mark and Christian into AMC, which later became the next place that I was working at. I love Mark and Christian. But and I'm not saying anything negative about the other place. Nothing negative. I'm just saying, you guys know I have no desire to be, even by perception, associated with that place. I don't want to be associated with it. I'm not saying anything bad about the place. I'm just saying I have no desire to be associated with it. And that's why, you know, when I'm talking about doing, getting Star Wars Talk Tuesday again, I say, well, I've got to get a co-host, but it cannot be anybody that I've worked with before because I don't even want there to be the perception that I'm still associated. You know, Rob was never on staff at the other place. Rob was never on staff, and Rob only joined me after he decided to leave that other place. You know, I never asked Rob to come and do the Weekly Hero with me until after he told me he was leaving the other place. And because he was never a staff member there, and I wasn't asking anybody to leave, he told me he had already left, and I said, okay, well, then let's do this. So because of that, the fact of the matter is, even though they don't have their videos there, they're still very closely associated there. Mark and Christian have made a fabulous property with that, but they're still very, very, very tied in and associated with the last place I worked, and I don't want any association or even the perception of association there. So again, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. I've been very, very consistent with this. I just don't want to have any association with that. So I'm just going to sit back and continue to cheer on Christian and Mark and their endeavors and what they do. And someday when they cut ties, if they ever do, with that place, then maybe you'll see us doing some stuff together again. But again, huge respect for Harloff and Ellis. Great deal. And I just love seeing what they're doing, and I just will cheer them on and continue to love watching them grow. All right. That being said, let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, Hope Affleck in one more so it can beat Daredevil on Rotten Tomatoes. You know what? I know it's the unpopular thing to say. I still like that Daredevil movie. So screw all ya. I still like that movie. I like that movie. Dare I say? Had it not been for one of the worst scenes in comic book movie history, that damn teeter-totter scene in Daredevil, which was so bad, it almost single-handedly ruined that movie for me. If it wasn't for that scene, I would go so far as to say that Daredevil was a great movie. I won't say it's great because that teeter-totter scene was there, but I like that scene, man. And hey, look, I still believe to this day, I have said this from day one, when I first told you guys ages ago that the relationship between Ben Affleck and the DC movies is done. I have told you from day one, there is still one film left on his contract. Now, so whether or not Warner Brothers exercises that and actually has him in one more, I believe there's still, to this day, a 50-50 chance. A 50-50 chance he appears in one more because he does have one more film on his deal. And it's much like the Henry Cavill situation. Ben Affleck is my favorite Batman. I'm not saying he's as good of an actor as Christian Bale is, but I loved his representation of Batman more than I even liked the Christian Bale representation of Batman. Bale's Batman movies are better, sure, yes. Dark Knight, Batman Begins, absolutely. But I just like Affleck's representation better, so I would love to see him in one more. Love to. It's 50-50 whether it does. That hasn't changed. Micah T writes, would you ever like to see any of the fake Infinity War scripts some of the cast got from the Russos? Curious how wacky they might be. I've heard about that. Would I want to see it? I don't know. I'm also one of these guys who when they say like a DVD has an alternate ending to a movie, I'm not interested in seeing the alternate ending. I'm not. I just want the movie and what the movie is. I gotta say this though, Micah, I would be curious, but I don't know that I'd actually go out of my way to seek them out knowing that they're not real. It's just the way my mind kind of works. I'm sure there'd be a lot of people that would love to see it just for kicks, but I don't know that I would. It's a great question, Micah. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure. I don't think I would, but I'm not 100% sure. Javier Rios 405 writes, can you say you should have killed me when you had the chance, Charles, in your best Ian McKellen impression? First of all, you all know I suck at impersonations. I cannot do impersonations for the life of me. But okay, because you asked. You should have killed me when you had the chance, Charles. Again, that was a horrible Ian McKellen, but you asked, so I did it. There you go. I'm Upset writes, what's worse, boat trip or fighting temptation? Oh, boat trip. Yeah. I mean, I almost feel guilty even talking about it. Nobody wants that movie ever mentioned again, so I will go boat trip. I'm upset. Woo, that's a Sophie's Choice. I'm upset. Stubble McShave writes, seen Stan and Ollie yet? Won't open till March here. Have not. It opens this weekend. I've already had a busy week. I'm going to try to sneak out to go watch it tomorrow. I was supposed to go watch The Boy Who Would Be King last night. So Ann and I drive out. For those of you who don't know California, Ray and Ann's mom and our buddy Ryan, they all live in Corona, California, which is about an hour drive away from where we live. So we drive out last night because Ann and our buddy Ryan were going to a NXT wrestling event. And so while they go out to NXT, I was going to go to the AMC, what's the name of that? Tyler. The AMC Tyler Galleria Mall, which is in Riverside, California. I was going to go in there and watch The Boy Would Be King, and we get out to Corona, and I realized I forgot my wallet. So I didn't, but I'm going to try to see both Stan and Ollie and The Boy Would Be King this weekend. This morning I couldn't go because we had that Warner Brothers thing with Lego Movie. Right now, I'm doing the show a little bit later. I got a new refrigerator being delivered. Oh, I need a new refrigerator so bad. So I don't know. Maybe I'll try to sneak out and see it tonight if I can. Then again, Anne and our friend Laura were talking about maybe to go and see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse again because our friend Laura hasn't seen it yet. And I was like, I should be going to see a movie I haven't seen yet. But if you guys are going to go see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I might have to come with you. So we'll wait and see. Daryl Best Wadley writes, hey, John, did you know that Bad Boys 3 has started filming? Oh, yeah, we talked about that on the John Campea Show weeks ago. Watched TMZ the other day, and they showed set photos. Looks like it's finally happening. Yep, it took them forever, but Bad Boys, what was it called? For Life? Is that what it's called? Bad Boys for Life, and I think the E is a backwards 3. We've never seen that before. Anyway, that's coming. I don't know, man. They went through a lot. You know, I don't know. I'll say this. I'm not excited for it. That doesn't mean it's not going to be great. I'm just saying with all the drama and all the false starts they had and all this kind of stuff, I don't know. Martin Lawrence is probably rusty. I mean, he hasn't done much in the past 10 years. I mean, Will Smith is Will Smith. Will Smith will bring it because that's what Will Smith does. So I expect nothing less from Will Smith. But with all the drama, I just don't know. So hopefully the movie will be awesome and was worth the wait. We'll have to wait and see. Thunder Knight 19 writes, how do you know she was a Nazi? Oh, yeah. How did you know she was a Nazi? Well, she talks in her sleep. One of the great lines from my favorite Indiana Jones movie, The Last Crusade. Yep. Last Crusade is my favorite Indiana Jones movie. And that line was wonderful. That line was wonderful when they realized that both of the Jones boys had slept with her. And I love that movie, man. I could watch that movie every day. I could watch The Last Crusade every day. Nathan Oswald writes, over under 10% Endgame breaks the Infinity War opening weekend. Well, here's the thing. I'm not sure that it will, but I am damn sure I'll take over 10%. I'll definitely take over 10%. Like, I'm not sure that it actually will. Like, if you set the line at 50%, I'm not sure. But 10%? Oh, yeah. I'll put all my money on that. If you set the line at 10%, I will put all my money on that. That it'll break the Infinity War's opening weekend record. Again, if it was 50%, not sure, but at 10%, no doubt. I would take that in a heartbeat. Mike Hill writes, was just thinking about yesterday's Super Chat. If McGregor, that's Ewan McGregor, not Conor McGregor, is in Star Wars Episode 9, could he be a Force ghost? And also, would he even need to be on set for that? See, that's the thing. So we had a Super Chat come in yesterday. Now, it's not somebody who says they saw anything. It's a guy who knows a guy who says he saw something, which was Ewan McGregor on set of a place in London, or in England, I should say, where they're shooting some Episode 9 stuff. So I believe the person who sent in the Super Chat was told that. I don't know that I believe the information, though. Because if Ewan McGregor's in it, certainly he's a Force ghost. Unless there's some kind of flashback. Maybe Episode 9 has some kind of big flashback to something, Obi-Wan did. I don't know. But certainly you would have to be a Force ghost. And if he's a Force ghost, he doesn't have to be on set. You just shoot that on a green screen somewhere. With Force Ghost stuff, you probably go blue. You probably shoot on a blue screen somewhere, right? So, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing to me. But then again, if he's a Force Ghost, he would have to look like the original Obi-Wan. So, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. If I had to put an over-under that's really true, I would put the over-under at 15%. Possible, but it presents problems. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, Mike. It would certainly be great to see Ewan McGregor on the screen again as Obi-Wan Kenobi, for sure. Luke Woodward writes, sometimes I spend a whole evening just watching my favorite scenes from great movies rather than just watching a movie. Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Because, there are movies that are okay but have magnificent scenes, Or sometimes you just feel like watching that scene. I know, look, I own Civil War. I have on more than one occasion just, when I've got a half hour to kill, just popped on Civil War and instantly gone to the scene of the airport fight. I've done that. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. You do you, Luke. I think, because I do the same thing, Luke, man. I do the same thing. Luke follows up with, have you noticed movies getting longer and longer lately? Almost all the top movies of last year were over 2 hours or longer. I think I saw a study the other day. It was more than just the other day, probably a couple months ago. I saw a study a few months ago about the average runtime, and it's actually not all that different. They did the average runtime for the movies in the 2010 plus versus movies from 2000 to 2010. And the average run length was, I believe, like 48 seconds longer. So it is, technically speaking, yeah, on average, they are getting longer. It's not a huge night and day difference, but technically speaking, your perception is not incorrect, Luke. Your perception is true. They are, on average, getting a little bit longer. I don't think they can get much more long than that, because I think a lot of audiences don't necessarily like super long movies, but Ray is one of the big guys. Ray, whenever we want to go to a movie, we're like, hey, Ray, you want to go to this movie? The first thing he asks every time is, how long is it? Because if it's like over 2 hours and 5 minutes, he'll like, nah. It doesn't matter. Like, I almost didn't get him to Infinity War, and he really wanted to see Infinity War. But he hummed it on, oh man, it's like way over 2 hours, I don't know. And he almost didn't go see it. And Ray's not alone. There are people like that. But yes, your perception is right, Luke. They are getting a bit longer here. All right. Emad Abdelatif writes, I'm sure I butchered your name, Emad. I apologize. Did you see the report on Christopher Nolan's new film? Looks like a remake of Memento for July 2020. I'll say this. I saw the headline that Christopher Nolan's next movie, it's funny because somebody was just asking last week, when are we getting the next movie? When are we getting the next movie from Christopher Nolan? And I said, I mean, maybe not for 3 years. Maybe they're already working on his next one. I don't know. And then this thing comes out. Now, I haven't read the report on it of any, the initial thing I read was just no details about his movie, but just that it's coming out in a year and a half, which means he's already working on it. So I have not read any other report that claims to have information about the movie. So I'll keep my eye open for that. But the initial thing I read was just July 2020, no details available. So that's the last thing I read. So I'll look around and see what I can find. All right, Luke follows up with, I would love if Mel Gibson came back to direct a Mad Max movie. He doesn't even need to be in it. Hey, well, look, that's not an impossibility. Because right now, George Miller and Warner Brothers are not getting along. Right now, George Miller and Warner Brothers are in a big legal fight right now, a big lawsuit against each other. And so the mommy and daddy are fighting. That could theoretically open the door, if they wanted to, they could go get, and look, Warner Brothers wants to work with him. Remember, they initially tried to get him to direct Suicide Squad 2, which I think, again, notwithstanding any personal feelings you have about Mel Gibson as a human being, I'm not going to debate that with you. Your feelings are your feelings, and I'm not going to invalidate that. But as a director, I thought he would have been an incredible match for that, especially after watching like a Hacksaw Ridge and seeing the visceralness of Apocalypto and all that kind of stuff. I thought he would have been a great match. He wasn't. So clearly Warner Brothers is interested in being in the Mel Gibson business. So it's not impossible. It's not impossible. It would be intriguing. It would absolutely be intriguing. Patrick Conway writes, Pirates and the Caribbean, I think you mean Pirates of the Caribbean, has the best movie score. Well, no, I completely disagree with that, but it's damn good. It's high adventure music, man. It's just high adventure music. Perfect for Pirates of the Caribbean. I like the Pirates of the Caribbean score very, very much. Best movie score? No. There's some little films like Indiana Jones would love to have a word with you, or Superman would love to have a word with you, or Star Wars would love to. No. Not in the top 5. I don't even think in the top 10. But I totally agreement with you, though, Patrick, that it's great. It's a really good score. It's one of those situations where the score is even better than the movies that they're in. Nathan Oswald writes, my favorite film of the 60s is Planet of the Apes. Oh, I mean, that's a classic, man. And you know what? This is one of those movies where everybody just assumes everybody else has seen it. Most people today have not seen the original Planet of the Apes. And you totally should. As a matter of fact, I think if you go back and watch the original Planet of the Apes, like Nathan is suggesting here, I think if you go back and watch the original Planet of the Apes, it'll give you a new appreciation and a deeper appreciation for the new stuff that we get out these days. Adamus95 writes, saw Dragon Ball Super Broly over Glass. It had a better review on Rotten Tomatoes. Let me tell you, I have no problem nominating it for Best Animated Film next year. I cannot comment on that because I have not seen it. Also, I would say it is far premature to talk about what you would nominate for Best Animated Film when you have not seen any of the other nominated films that are going to come out this year. That's why when somebody asked me the other day, because you all know I think James McAvoy is stupid good in Glass. I don't even like Glass, but James McAvoy is stupid good. And people saying, yeah, I think he should get an Oscar nomination. I said, well, it's far too early to say that. Because for all I know, I'm going to see 7 other performances this year that I think were better. But if the Oscars were to be held tomorrow for 2019 films, yes, I would nominate them for sure. But a little too early to call. All right. Nathan also follows up. Better combo, Spielberg-Hanks or Zemeckis-Hanks? I'll go Spielberg-Hanks. Although Zemeckis-Hanks, those are two great combinations for sure. That's a good question, Nathan. They're definitely both great. Good combinations. I'll go Spielberg-Hanks on that one. But Zemeckis-Hanks has done some really good stuff too. Chris Warden writes, do you watch Vikings on History Channel? I did until the lead character died. Once the lead character died, which was either in season 3 or season 4, Ragnar. Once Ragnar died, I gave up on the show. I was like, not that I had a problem with them killing him off. It's just that, he was my main hook in the show. And without him there, I'm not all that interested. So it's basically the way Josh McCouga described Vikings to me, because Josh is the guy who got me to watch Vikings. The way he described it to me is, it's Sons of Anarchy with Vikings. And I'm like, well, sold. I'm on board. And I really enjoyed it. But yeah, once the lead character died, then I kind of tuned out. Chris follows up with, thoughts on Ray Donovan season 6, in my opinion, way better than season 5. I have not watched Ray Donovan season 6 yet. I love Ray Donovan. Season 5 was not good. It had good episodes, but they dragged some things out way too long. I'm not going to say what they were in case you haven't seen it yet, but season 5 to me was a real step backwards. And I'm hearing lots of people say season 6 gets it back to where it needs to be. That's great, but I haven't seen it yet. But I'm looking forward to it. Pool of Dead writes, did you see the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood pictures that came out? Looks amazing. Can't wait. Thanos did nothing wrong. Hashtag Thanos did nothing wrong. Yes, I have seen the pictures. Seeing Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie and Leonardo DiCaprio all dressed in like the 70s outfits. It looks great. I mean, but they are just still pictures. They didn't make me think the movie, it didn't increase my excitement for the movie, but I am already quite excited for it. Tarantino, with maybe the most talented cast he's ever worked with that time period, I mean, I just don't know what there isn't to be excited about, you know? I'm totally stoked. The pictures didn't do anything to get me even more excited, but they do look really cool. So, yeah, you and me, Pool of Dead, both totally on the same page. Cannot wait to see this movie. Pool follows up with, just started watching Sopranos, incredible show. Again, It is one of those shows, and I know it was done a little bit ago, so there's probably a bunch of you that have never watched The Sopranos. But talk to anybody over 30. And quite often, once the discussion of greatest television shows of all time come up, there's a couple of shows that normally get thrown right to the top of the list. The Wire and Sopranos. And both shows, when you watch them, you realize, holy crap, all these shows that have come after, Game of Thrones, even Breaking Bad, things like that. These shows are all heavily influenced by the likes of The Wire and The Sopranos. And when you go back and watch those for the first time, like I did with The Wire a year or two ago, I finally got caught up watching The Wire, and I'm like, oh my God, this is what everybody's talking about. So when you talk to a lot of people over 30, and you get in that discussion, greatest television show of all time, always in the discussion is The Wire and The Sopranos. The Sopranos is great. And good on you for going back and starting to watch it. The Mad Titan, speaking of Thanos, the Mad Titan writes, I love the Queen songs. Oh, yeah, from Highlander. The Queen songs, the soundtrack from Queen. Who wants to live forever? It's perfect. Here we are. It's awesome. Anyway, I love the Queen songs from Highlander. I hope they have a great artist do more original music for the remake. Devin Townsend is my unlikely choice. I'm not as interested in that. First of all, who's going to be the Highlander? Is the John Wick guy still directing the Highlander remake? I don't know. We've heard nothing about it for a while. I just want to find out first if they're even doing another one. I'll worry about who's doing the music for it later, Mad Titan. I just want to find out if they're still actually going to frickin' do this movie or not. And then who's writing that script? And is that guy actually directing it? And then who's going to be our new Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod? You know, I got to find this stuff out first. Those are my priorities first. Then I'll be interested about who's doing the music. Then I'll be interested in who's doing the music. All right. Curtis Lopez writes, did you hear Christopher Nolan's next movie is out in July 2020? No title, actor, story, or genre known, but still very excited. Yeah, it's. I suspected, if you guys remember from a week or so ago, I suspected he may already be at work on the new one, which didn't take a rocket scientist. I mean, I think a lot of us assumed he was probably working on his next one already. Was not expecting for it to come out that soon, though. Like, I thought he's probably already working on it, and maybe we'll get a 2021. But July 2021, July 2020? Next summer? Yeah, that means he is well into work on this movie. And they're probably going to start shooting within the next few months. So, yes, very excited. One of the best directors of our generation. Who's not excited about the next Christopher Nolan movie? I certainly am, especially after Dunkirk. All right, Adam K. writes, last month, when Black Panther got a Golden Globe picture nomination, you said it was tokenism. Do you still feel the same way with his Best Picture nomination? Look, I'll say the same thing that I've been saying all week, ever since they announced it as that. Black Panther isn't even the best comic book movie of the year. It's not even the second best comic book movie of the year. I put out a poll. Over 12,000 people voted in a 24-hour period. 12,000 people voted in 24 hours. 52% of you said the best comic book movie of the year was Avengers Infinity War. 34% of you said Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was the best comic book movie of the year. Do you know how many people said that Black Panther was the best comic book movie of the year? 7%. 7%. Versus 34 for Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse and 52. And by the way, another film got 7% of the vote, Aquaman. So the same number of people who thought Aquaman was the best comic book movie of the year also thought Black Panther was best picture of the year. Best comic book movie of the year. That's a problem. However, what I've been saying all week is this. Black Panther's great. All you have to go back and read my first tweet. My first tweet about Black Panther after seeing it. Black Panther is great. And while I think maybe the wrong comic book movie got nominated for Best Picture, the reality is there wasn't a real strong argument for Avengers Infinity War to get a Best Picture nomination either. I still kind of feel like the wrong one got to... Again, even amongst comic book movie fans, most people don't think Black Panther was even the best comic book movie of the year, let alone one of the best films of the year to be nominated. But that doesn't mean that the voters at the Academy didn't think so. I said this before, I'll say it again. My business partner, she is a voting member of the Academy. She's been a voting member of the Academy for decades. She voted for it, not because of any tokenism, because she thought it deserved to be up there, because she liked it that much. And if she felt that, odds are there are a lot of other Academy members who felt that too. So look, I'll have the debate about did the right movie get nominated and all that. I'll have that debate. But for right now, I'm just happy a comic book movie got nominated for Best Picture. Because that makes 2 years in a row that a comic book movie got one of the major nominations. Last year, Logan got nominated for Best Screenplay. This year, Black Panther gets nominated for Best Picture. It's just a good time. And I think we as comic book movie fans, be as Marvel fans, DC fans, whatever, we should all be celebrating this, that now we've had 2 years in a row where comic book movies get major award nominations. That's great. It does create the appearance of tokenism because, again, it's not even considered the best comic book movie of the year. And I think that's unfortunate because it undermines how good the movie was. It undermines the importance of the movie and the great steps forward that it took for a lot of different things and a lot of different people. And it makes a debate about it when there didn't need to be a debate about it. Now, look, all I'll say is this. Hey, at least it wasn't a bad movie that got nominated. Black Panther's a great movie. It's a great movie. And right now, I'm just happy a comic book movie got nominated. So my feelings on that haven't changed. But again, I will debate anybody who says the only reason the Academy actually nominated it was for political reasons. It's like, well, look, how many, the first question I'll ask you, how many voting members of the Academy do you know? Because I know a couple. I work with one daily. And I know they didn't vote for it for political reasons. They voted for it because they liked it that much. So, would I have nominated Black Panther? No. Would I have nominated Vice? No. Would I have nominated Bohemian Rhapsody? No. But at least in the cases of Bohemian Rhapsody and Black Panther, I think they're both great movies. I didn't think Vice was great. I'm sorry. I didn't think Vice was great. I thought Vice was good. At best, I thought it was good. But a lot of you guys thought it was great, so whatever. But yeah, that's how I feel about it. It's just unfortunate that, and that's why I've been trying to look. I believe as much as anybody that it didn't necessarily deserve a nomination, but it's unfortunate that that's what the conversation now is. The conversation, what I'm asking everybody on my show, at least for the next 5 or 6 weeks until after the Oscars, let's just focus on the fact that a good comic book movie got nominated for Best Picture. For now, let's just focus on that. Let's have these other debates later. Let's have the debate about did the right comic book movie get nominated and all that. They're good debates to have, but let's have those debates later. For now, let's just be happy that a good comic book movie got nominated for Best Picture. And let's just focus on that, because that's where my attention is going to be for now. All right, Patrick Conway writes, what Marvel show excites you the most? I can't choose. I don't know. There's a lot of them. Particularly the two. And particularly the two. There are a few, but obviously Punisher excites me. I haven't started watching Punisher Season 2 yet. Daredevil excites me, even though it's been canceled. I love The Gifted, and I love The Runaways. If you're just asking me what I'm excited about, I'm a little more excited because I know Daredevil's canceled, so it's hard to be excited for it. I might actually go Runaways. I might be a little bit more excited about Runaways than anything else, because I know they also have a future. Let's see. Tyler Yeats writes, how about that extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile trailer? Looking forward to seeing that. I think Zach is a good actor. I think Zach's a great actor. I thought the trailer was amazing. Whoever said, I'm reading some people online going, they're romanticizing Ted Bundy. No, they are not. Oh, screw that noise. That trailer was not romanticizing Ted Bundy. If you think the trailer was romanticizing Ted Bundy, I got one question for you. What's the name of this movie again? extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. There's no ambiguity here. What that trailer did do was highlight the thing that got Ted Bundy as far as he did, that charm. The trailer had to let you know there's a reason this guy was able to do all that he was able to do, because of the charm. The charm of him. To me, it in no way, that trailer did not remotely romanticize what Ted Bundy did or who he was. It was highlighting to the audience, this is the guy that is, and let's just get back to the title of the movie again, extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. That's the title of the movie. Don't tell me they were romanticizing that son of a bitch. It wasn't. It was highlighting how he fooled so many people. And why so many people became, when that was all going on, why so many people got enamored with him. Because of that. But behind it all, the damn title of the movie is not The Incident. That's not the title of the movie. The charming guy who did something bad. No, that's not the name of the movie. The name of the movie is extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. Don't know how much clearer you can be. And I thought the trailer was incredibly effective, and I thought it was great. And I simply don't understand anybody who looks at that trailer and goes, oh, they're making it seem like he was just some charming, funny guy. No, they are not. That is not what I got from that trailer at all. If that's what you got from that trailer, look at it again and read the title of the movie first. And to me, it just makes that impact all the harder. This was an evil, vile son of a bitch. And the movie, I just cannot wait to see the portrayal of it. I'm excited about it. And I have no doubt they are portraying him as extremely wicked, evil, and vile. And if you were a little bit confused by it, just look at the title again. Anyway, that's just how I think the trailer was great. I think the trailer was great. Anyway, Best D14 writes, why do you think studios keep making the same Alien and Terminator movie? Aliens is great. Why don't they push the narrative forward? Maybe with Aliens get to Earth, a war between, but that's not pushing the narrative forward, Best. That's not pushing the narrative forward. That's just creating a new battle scene. That's not narrative. That's just a battle scene. I mean, the idea of war between humans and aliens, that sounds like a great 10-minute YouTube video. That's not pushing the narrative forward. Look, the thing is, because I'll be honest with you, this is just me being heart-to-heart two fellow film fans. I'll just be straight with you. What you just said to me sounds just like another Alien movie. That just sounds like everything else we've already got, except instead of in a spaceship or instead of on a colony world, it's on Earth. Okay, but still the same thing, isn't it? And by the way, we've already seen the aliens on Earth in Alien versus Predator, and I don't know. But the reason that you and me and the studios quite often go back to that is because that's kind of the formula that has worked for Aliens to a degree. It's the thing that's worked for them. And there's really only so much narrative you can do with the Alien premises. And there's only so much narrative you can do with that Predator premises. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot of similarities as we move along. Is it impossible to do something fresh and new and different? No. It's tricky, though. I think it would be tricky for a screenwriter to come up with something that is truly fresh and original, and different, yet still great quality, and stays faithful to the DNA of those franchises. That's a tall order. That's a tall order. And I would love to see it, but I understand why these new movies have been made the way they have. I mean, Predator just sucked, the new one. And I was so, dude, now I'm mad at you, Bess, for making me think about the Predator movie. Because I said for so long to everybody, trust it, guys. This movie's gonna be great. The new Predator's gonna be, Shane Black is directing it, everybody. Don't worry. Put all your fears aside. I kept telling you guys, this movie's gonna be great because of Shane Black and blah, 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 blah. And the movie sucked. The movie sucked. Oh, it sucked. I don't know if I can think off the top of my head of another movie that just flat out disappointed me as much. There might be, but I'm just saying, sitting here right now off the top of my head, I don't know if I can think of another movie that just flat out disappointed me as much as The Predator. So bad. And it wasn't even because of the premise. It was just because poorly executed, badly directed film. Poorly executed. They did 1,000 things wrong. The basic idea could have worked great. The basic idea of the film could have worked great, but it just executes, so bad. So bad, man. So screw you for making me think about it. But yeah, again, what I would say here best is that to do something that's totally different is very tricky to do, while also keeping the core fans of those franchises happy. And to highlight that point, I think what you just described just sounds like another Alien movie, just in a different place, but it's the same thing. And so it's tough. That kind of highlights how tough it is, right? And if you and I can come up with a truly fresh, original idea with a different kind of narrative that stays true to the DNA of the original and will please the fans of the original, you and I, my friend, are going to win an Oscar, and you and I are going to make an awful lot of money. So let's see if we can do it. All right. Duke Silver. First of all, kudos to you, sir, for the username. The great Ron Swanson, Duke Silver. Who's your favorite hip-hop artist? Kendrick's not GOAT. I mean, Kendrick's barely been around for 5 minutes. So, no, get that out of here. Get that out of here. He's been around for like 5 minutes. Give me somebody who's endured, and their greatness has endured. You want to start talking GOAT? Tell me, I don't care if you're talking about athletes, musicians, actors. Show me somebody who is not great this minute. Show me somebody has been great for a long period of time and has endured for years and years and years and years. That's tricky. You can't talk about GOAT with somebody who's been around for 5 minutes. And in the grand scheme of things, Kendrick's been around for about 5 minutes, right? I'm not saying he's not great. Do not misinterpret me. I'm not saying he's not great. I'm just saying he's been around for 5 minutes, right? So don't get that GOAT discussion out of here. I don't care if you do have the best username in the world. Get that GOAT discussion out of here. Nonsense. So who would I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to pretend like I have 10 better answers than you do. But, I mean, look at guys who have just endured for ages and ages and ages and ages and are still talked about with reverence and all that kind of stuff. You know, hey, look, I'm not a big fan of P. Diddy, but man, his career has endured and endured and endured and endured and endured. There are other guys that are like that too. And Eminem has been around for frickin' ever and is still considered to be kind of the king of that. Like, if anything, that little pissant moron, I can't even remember his name, Machine Gun Kelly, was that the loser's name? Anyway, the guy tried to insult Eminem, and Eminem destroyed him in 2 seconds. You know, let's go, or even go back old school, Run DMC, you know, Kool Moe D. You know, Biggie. give me that. Give me somebody who's been around for more than 5 minutes. Now, I am not a music aficionado. I don't pretend to be. I don't nothing like that. But I mean, I would put Houdini in the GOAT discussion before I put Kendrick in there. Again, though, ask me the same question in 5 years. Ask me the same question in 5 years. And then maybe Kendrick's in there, but maybe not. Maybe we forgot. I don't know. But just, regardless of what we're talking about, be it sports, movies, music, whatever, if you're going to get into GOAT discussions, give me somebody who's been around for more than 5 minutes. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Roman Bryant writes, is Boba Fett surviving the Sarlacc canon? I don't know at this point. To me, the only things that are truly canon is in the movies. Because the Skywalker group has so botched what canon is now. Everything that's in the novels is canon. But wait a minute, you just did something in the novels that contradicts what was in the movies. Well, everything that's in the novels is canon as long as it doesn't contradict the movies. Oh, so then it's not canon. Canon isn't a sort of thing. Canon is supposed to be a concrete thing. Either I can read the novels and know that everything I read in the novel is canon, or I can't know for sure that everything I read in the novels is canon. And when I heard them come out and say that whole thing about, well, everything that's in the novels you read are canon unless it contradicts the movies, I gave up reading the novels after that. I gave up reading the novels. Because it's like, if I can't read a novel and know that this is Star Wars canon and know it definitively, because it's canon or it's not. It's like a woman being pregnant. A woman is not sort of pregnant. A woman is either pregnant or she is not pregnant. Something is either reliably canon or it is not. It ain't sort of reliably. Well, a bunch of stuff in the novels is canon, and some of it, but then it's not. Is something definitively canon or is something not? And if you can't tell me that the novels I can look at and know as a fan that what I'm reading is canon, and I can't know that for certainty, then I've lost my incentive to read them. There ain't no such thing as sort of canon. It's either canon or it's not. There's a reason you guys got rid of all the older stuff. Because Lucasfilm, back in the day before Disney, they had these stupid levels of canon. And the only thing that was true canon was what they called G-level canon. That was the movies. That was George Lucas. Then there was like F canon and Q canon and 007 canon and all these different levels of canon. It's either canon or it's not. Oh my God. I could go off on this for 25 minutes. So the answer to your question, Roman, is I don't know. I don't think anybody at Lucasfilm knows, for heaven's sakes, at this point. Anyway, Tristan Brown writes, "Hey, John, after episode 7 in 2015, I expected more leading roles from Daisy Ridley. Do you think she's just being very selective?" Well, she's also been very, very busy. Doing Star Wars stuff keeps you very busy. She had a big role in a Kenneth Branagh film, Murder on the Orient Express. She's got this thing called with Tom Holland that we now know has been delayed until at least 2020, maybe later than that. What's the name of that damn movie? We were just talking about the one she's doing with Tom Holland, and I can't remember, Crushed Earth or Blown in the Wind. I can't remember. She's got that coming up, and then I remember I was looking at her IMDb page the other day. She's got like 3 other leading roles coming up as well. So, and remember, the Star Wars stuff is unlike a lot of other movies because they shoot a little longer than most movies, but then your PR tour stuff is always much bigger than most other movies. You're doing PR tours all over the world, blah, blah, blah. You can't have time to shoot other movies because you got to be promoting these movies. A lot of movies, like you got to do, a lot of these movies, they sign up and they say, now I can't do PR during this window of time because I have to be shooting another movie. Disney and Lucasfilm don't let you do that. It's like, no, you are promoting our movie when we tell you this movie needs to be promoted, and you're going to have to not shoot other movies while you're in this promotion window. So there's all that too. So she's very sought after, and she does have a number of things in a very short period of time lined up. But yeah, I mean, she's not going to try to be like The Rock and do 8 movies a year. So there's that. Let's see. Topper Rocks writes, favorite James Bond film. I mean, it kind of... sorry, we had a jump. La 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 la. Okay, here we go. All right, Topper Rocks writes, favorite James Bond film. It depends on the day that you ask, but more days than not, I go to Casino Royale. Again, it depends on the day you ask. Maybe I'll be in a Moonraker. Wait a minute, Moonraker? Yeah, maybe I'll be in a Moonraker mood. Maybe I'll be in an Octopussy mood. Maybe I'll be, License to Kill kind of mood. Maybe I'll be in a Tomorrow Never Dies kind of mood. But more often than not, it's Casino Royale. It's the Daniel Craig Casino Royale. All right, Damien writes, I already bought my tickets for the next Nolan movie, and I don't even know the title. I'm with you, man. Sign me up. If you today told me you can buy your opening night tickets right now without knowing anything about the movie, $25 a ticket, and you can buy it right now, click. I'm clicking that shit right now. I'm clicking it right now. You and me, Damien, front row, clicking those tickets right now. All right. Damien follows up with, I'm hoping his next film is horror because I was rewatching Batman Begins the other day, and the horror elements are great and felt terrifying. Well, look, right now, you may not be far off here, Damien. You may not be far off because right now the horror genre is hot, right? Jordan Peele doing Get Out. He's got his next thing coming out called Us. We've had some hot films in the horror genre. Now even Edgar Wright is saying his next thing's going to be a horror thriller. It's a hot genre to do right now. Christopher Nolan doing a horror? Forget about it. Now, I'm going to be down with whatever Christopher Nolan wants to do. I would, look, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I'd love to see Christopher Nolan do a straight comedy. I would love to see if he can actually do a straight comedy. I don't know if Christopher Nolan can actually do a straight comedy. I don't know if he's capable. I don't know if he's got those tools in his belt, but I'd be damn curious to see. But holy crap, man. If they said his next movie is a horror film, forget about it. Sign me up. Oh my God, that would be amazing to see. That would be amazing. And if Christopher Nolan does it, then you're going to see every director start lining up to try to get their big horror film done. We're in a bit of a resurgence right now of horror films. It's kind of cool to see. All right. Connor B. writes, there's been so many bad films get Oscar noms like Darkest Hour. Oh, get out of here. You're calling Darkest Hour a bad film? Get out of here. Get out of here. And Shakespeare in Love? That movie's magnificent. Black Panther is actually good. I've got no problem with getting a nomination. First, get out of here with this. I mean, all film is subjective, and if that is how you feel, I'm not invalidating how you feel. I'm just telling you, from my perspective, get out of here with this. Darkest Hour wasn't good, and I understand a lot of people were mad that Shakespeare in Love won over Saving Private Ryan. I get it. Personally, I think the right film won. That movie's fantastic. Shakespeare in Love is freaking brilliant. It's great, and Darkest Hour is freaking brilliant. So I'm not invalidating. Your opinion is no less and no more valid than mine, Connor. That's how you feel. That's great. But don't bring that into my house. I mean, get that. Darkest Hour isn't a good film. Look, Black Panther is not just a good film. Black Panther is a great film. It's great. I don't think it deserved a nomination for Best Picture, but I'm just happy a comic book movie got nominated for Best Picture, and at least it was a great one. And I'm with you on that. That's great. I certainly believe it deserved a Best Picture nomination more than Vice did. And I kind of believe it also deserved a Best Picture nomination over Bohemian Rhapsody, although I think Bohemian Rhapsody is great too. But you kind of lost me as soon as you say a bad film like Darkest Hour. What? But that's the beautiful thing about film, my friend Connor. It's all subjective, and we all approach films, and we all have different experiences with them, and I celebrate that you have a different opinion than me, even though your opinion may shock me, and that's totally cool. We're still film fans together. All right. Angry Irish Benjamin writes, watching Attack the Clones, Django is a badass. Oh, damn right. Dude goes straight up, fights a Jedi. I have my opinions about Attack of the Clones, as everybody does, but make no mistake about it. Django is a badass, for absolutely no doubt about that. Matt Thornton writes, and by the way, he's also Aquaman's dad. How's that? Jango Fett is also Aquaman's dad. That's how bad of an ass he is. All right, Matt Thornton writes, watch Saving Mr. Banks this week. Wonderful film. Wonderful film. Absolutely loved it. Made me appreciate David Tomlinson's performance in Mary Poppins even more. Here's the thing about Saving Mr. Banks. You guys have heard me say it all the time, but I will say it again. Colin Farrell got robbed. He should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor for that, because as great as Tom Hanks is, a guy who's in a discussion of the GOAT, as great as Tom Hanks is, Colin Farrell stole that movie. He was magnificent in that film and should have got a Best Supporting Actor nomination, and he didn't. Got totally overlooked, which is too bad. But I'm glad you got caught up on that one, Matt, because I really, really do like that movie. That's a really special little movie, and thank you for sharing that, man. All right, Jordan Marshall writes, hey, John, since I live in the coast, would be a good background. Sorry, let me try that again. Hey, John, since I live in the coast, I don't know which coast, would a good background be my beak and mountains, or get a custom backdrop with my custom logo on it, White Wolf? It really all depends on the nature of your show and what it is. The problem with using a live natural background is, what if the weather's bad? What if it's dark? What if this? You want to be consistent. You want to be consistent with your background. That's my best advice, is you want to be consistent with it. While a natural background always looks better, you also have to combine that. Well, what happens? Are you going to make sure you shoot at the same time every day? But then what if it's dark and cloudy? What if it's raining? What if there's a storm going on? Blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Plus, A lot of people don't know how to light these things properly. It's tricky lighting when you have a light source as bright behind you as a natural outdoor scene, right? For all of those reasons and more, I would say go with an artificial background. Now, I have a real background, but it's practical and it's inside and it's not dependent on the weather, right? So I would say go with a custom backdrop with a logo on it, and then later, once you feel you've developed some expertise in it, if you've got a great shot of some great natural outdoor stuff that just looks beautiful and majestic, and you know you can do your schedule properly, that most of the time it's going to be consistent, then move to that. But I would suggest start with something handmade. Start with something man-made like I've got behind me there. That's my advice. Could be wrong, but that's my advice at any rate. But man, woo, you got on the coast and background with beak. I'm gonna guess you mean beach instead of beak. Beach and mountains. If you can pull that off, do it. But it does present challenges. Be aware of that. At least you're always in control, and you can control the environment with a custom backdrop. All right. Joel M. writes, just saw Molly's Game last night. What a roller coaster event. Dude, that was one of the best movies of the year it came out. I was so shocked. It was, why am I freezing on one of the greatest writers of all time? One of the greatest writers of our generation. Hold on a second. I always do this. In the midst of doing a show live, you freeze on what the things are. Aaron Sorkin. One of the best. That was his directorial debut, and I thought he did a great job. And I was a little bit nervous. But, I'm a big poker guy. I am a big Jessica Chastain guy. Not many laws of men that I would not break if she asked me to. I love Jessica Chastain. I love this movie. It's so freaking good. Idris Elba was amazing in it. Kevin Costner as her dad was fantastic in it. Michael Cera. I'm not even a Michael Cera fan. I'll just be straight with you. I am not a Michael Cera fan. But oh my God, he was so good in that movie. Oh my God, he was so good in that movie. It forced me to rethink what I think of him in some other ones too. But I've always also liked him in the Edgar Wright film. We were just talking about this movie the other day. Why am I freezing on the comic book adaptation he was in? Anyway, who cares? I'm going to have to move on. But that movie's great, and I'm glad you had a chance to watch it. Should have got more Oscar love. It got a little bit of Oscar love, but it should have gotten more. I love Molly's Game. I'm glad, Joel, that you had a chance to watch it. All right, Tyler Yeats writes, I love the scores from the Dark Knight trilogy. Listen to them in the gym. Oh, they're great. Wonderful scores in all those movies. Man, that dude, he just brings it every time. And it just, and sometimes you get these musical scores that are great, but they're like scores you could almost pick up. By the way, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Why was I freezing on Scott Pilgrim? Anyway, sometimes you get these musical scores that are great, but you could almost take them and drop them in any movie. And then there are musical scores that just really fit in with that movie and those characters. And the Dark Knight trilogy is one of those, and that's what makes it so special. Never mind, I still don't get likes, writes. Saying waiting 6 years is why Wreck-It Ralph 2 didn't make more money, is a poor excuse. Incredibles 2 rated 14 years, and it made over $1 billion. But you're just pretending like everything is apples to apples, never mind. You're just pretending like everything's apples to apples. The Incredibles had a far bigger impact. The first one, The Incredibles had a far bigger impact than the original Wreck-It Ralph did. Wreck-It Ralph was great, but it wasn't, and you guys know I love the first Wreck-It Ralph. You know that. But it was nowhere near the kind of generation kind of defining movie that, like, say, an Incredibles was, because Incredibles was, by the way, a film that a lot of people think is Pixar's best film. I don't necessarily think it's their best film, but you ask a lot of people believe that The Incredibles was Pixar's best film. And people have talked about it year after year after year. It is an enduring, all-time great movie for the genre of what it was. and we're year in, year out, people screaming, where's the next that? Where's the next Incredibles? Where's the next Incredibles? Where's the next Incredibles? It is a poor thing to do to go, well, this one didn't do as good as Incredibles. Yeah, but that's like saying, well, that movie sucked. Why? Because it's not as good as The Godfather. So therefore, that movie, whatever movie you're talking about, sucks. Well, that's not a fair comparison. Trying to compare a Wreck-It Ralph to one of the all-time most celebrated Pixar films of all time, that's not an apples-to-apples comparison. That's not fair. So I will say to you, yes, a movie like Wreck-It Ralph, which is great, that kind of a movie needed to have its sequel a little bit earlier. It needed to have its sequel earlier. To point to something as rare and as completely unique as The Incredibles and its situation, and then trying to draw a comparison to that, that's like comparing apples to spaceships. It's not even comparing apples to oranges. It's comparing apples to spaceships. They're two totally different movies that come from two totally different contexts and have their own totally different set of circumstances. Wreck-It Ralph is not The Incredibles. Nothing is The Incredibles. So for your average great little film like Wreck-It Ralph, you can't wait 6, 7, 8 years to come out with a sequel. It doesn't have that type of enduring place in the pop cultural consciousness like the original Incredibles did. And it's disingenuous to try to compare the results of the two. So it's not a poor excuse. It is a literal pointing to a reason. A movie like the original Wreck-It Ralph has a certain place in our pop cultural consciousness that has a shelf life. And you can't wait 5, 6, 7 years to do a sequel like that. You got to make it a little bit sooner than that. A movie like The Incredibles is in a totally different set of circumstances and is a totally different movie and has a totally different revered place within our pop cultural consciousness. And therefore, what works for it will be different than what works for other films, even other great little films. So, no, you trying to compare those two things is like I said, spaceships to pieces of chalk. I mean, it's not a thing like, you can't say this for this because this one did that. Yeah, those are two totally different movies and two totally different sets of circumstances. So what are you going to do now forever? If a movie comes out with a sequel way too late, say, well, you can't say the sequel is too late because look at The Incredible. Different movies, different set of circumstances. And yeah, I would say it's a bad comparison. It's a disingenuous comparison that doesn't make any sense. Again, I liken it unto saying, well, you know, what's a good movie being nominated for Best Picture? The Favorite, right? Great movie. Oh, great. It's not a great movie because it's not as good as The Godfather. Well, The Godfather, most revered all-time film ever made in cinematic history. And if you're just going to compare everything to that, then everything's going to come up short. The Incredibles has a special place in our pop cultural consciousness, particularly within the geek circles, within animation circles, and within superhero circles. There is a revered place for that film. The fact that we've all talked about it every year ever since. So does that mean that any animated movie that we may have thought were great, if we don't talk about it on that same level every year ever since, then they should be compared equally to something like The Incredibles? Of course not. That's not something we should do as film fans. So I would say 6 years hurting, a 6-year wait, 5, 6, 7-year wait to make Wreck-It Ralph 2, that is a very legitimate one of the reasons it did not do as well. It's very legit. That was the type of film that needed a sequel to come out a little bit closer. It didn't have to come out the next year, but it needed to come out closer to while the iron was hot. A thing like The Incredibles, it's that movie's going to be hot for the next 30 years. Doesn't matter. We all wish it would have come out sooner, but and maybe The Incredibles 2, even though it joined the $1 billion club, maybe it would have made even more if it was released 3 years ago. I mean, who knows? We don't know, but The Incredibles is just in a different place. Okay, let's move on here. Brendan Millspaw writes, drowning in a frigging puddle. Lame. Anyway, what are your thoughts on The Rock potentially stealing Fast and the Furious from Vin Diesel? I look, I don't know. I don't care. Number one, the Fast and Furious does not belong to Vin Diesel. All right? It belongs to the people who pay for it. Vin Diesel does not pay for the Fast and the Furious movies. Ergo, it does not belong to him. I'm sure he's got some of the rights tied up. And by the way, we don't know that The Rock is stealing it away from him. Okay, let's be clear about that. Let's be clear about that. I know there's drama between The Rock and Vin Diesel. I understand that. That's unfortunate. That sucks because I like both of these guys. I'm a big fan of Vin Diesel. I've talked about that a lot in the recent days. I'm obviously a big fan of The Rock as well. So, I mean, look, the fact of the matter is, I feel weird giving any opinion because we don't know what the real facts are. There's drama. I'm not going to say who I side with because I don't know what the real facts are. And all I know is this. The movie belongs to the studio. And if the studio thinks a certain thing is the best thing for them to do, like making a Hobbs and Shaw movie, then that's what should happen. And that's as far as I'm willing to go on it right now. But again, I would love to see whatever, burned down bridges there are between Vin Diesel and Dwayne Johnson. I mean, just as a fan of both of these guys, I would love to see whatever those burned bridges are rebuilt. I would love it. Because Fast and the Furious movies are better with Dwayne Johnson in them. And Fast and the Furious movies are better with Vin Diesel in them. And I'm looking forward to Fast 9, and I'm looking forward to Hobbs and Shaw. I just really hope at some point they can get that fixed. I hope they can get that fixed. All right. Brendan Misspaw writes, what would you give to be in a Star Wars movie? There's not much I wouldn't. I certainly don't think I have any possession that I wouldn't give up. Not a lot I wouldn't give to be the Star Wars, because you just got to remember, my earliest childhood memory is Star Wars. My whole life has been defined as being a Star Wars fan. I am a fanatical Star Wars fan. Even when I hate certain Star Wars movies, I am still a Star Wars fan. Much like I am a diehard Toronto Maple Leafs fan. Even when I know they suck, I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. And so being so defined by that, trust me, man, there's not a lot I wouldn't do. All right. Last question I'm going to take before I take a 2-minute break. I'm going to need to take a 2-minute break just to give my voice a minute to relax, and I need to refill my drink so I can keep going with all the questions. So I'm going to take a 2-minute break after I take this next question from Cecil1304 writes, hey, John, haven't donated in a while since I was short on cash. Dude, you are not, nobody is obligated to donate to this. So anything you contributing to the channel at all is super grateful for that. Do not feel anybody is obligated to do that. So no, don't apologize for that. Get that out of here. Get that out of here. But I still watch your show. Glad to hear you're on board with the Detective Pikachu movie from watching the first trailer. Cheers. Dude, what can I say? I thought the idea of doing a Detective Pikachu movie was stupid. I had no idea why Ryan Reynolds would get involved with it. And then I saw the trailer. And the trailer won me over. I think like it probably did for a lot of you guys too, right? Like it did for a lot of you guys too. Trailer completely won me over. I was surprised by how charming and funny it was. A little bit of, somebody pointed this out too, and they might have meant it as a criticism, but I just think it works. It's not even Ryan Reynolds, somebody said. It's not even Ryan Reynolds doing the voice of Pikachu. It's Deadpool doing the voice of Pikachu. It feels like Detective Pikachu starring Deadpool as Pikachu. I see where that is coming from. I do. But I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing because I watched it and it worked. Are they right? Yep. It sounds to me like it's not Ryan Reynolds doing it. It sounds to me like Deadpool's doing it, and I'm perfectly okay with that because it still, for me, perfectly worked. And it made me smile, and it made me grin, and it made me laugh. So, yep, I'm down with that. I'm down with that totally. Okay, guys, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a quick 2-minute break here. Maybe even less than 2 minutes, maybe a few seconds more than 2 minutes. But don't go anywhere. I will be right back, and as soon as I'm back, we will jump on with Joel M's question, and we'll get to that in just a minute. Be patient with me. I do apologize that I have to take a break, but I've been now talking straight for 1 hour and 28 minutes. And that plays havoc on my throat. So I will be back in just a moment. Stay tuned. All right, and we are back. Thanks for your patience, guys. Like I said, I'd go grab it, and just gonna let you know, my throat's getting kind of sore, so at some point, I may have to pop a Halls in. I know it's a little annoying when I have a Halls and I'm trying to talk, but it's what I might have to do just to keep things going. Okay, now that we're back, let's just keep going here. Let's see, where do we leave off with? We left off with Cecil's question, so let's go on to Joel M., who writes, did you ever finish Better Call Saul? Your thoughts? I never did. I got up to the end of... Did I get to the end of season 2 or 3? I got to the end of one of the seasons and decided I needed to take a break and get on one of the other shows I was falling behind on. And I never got back to it. I will say this. I really liked the first couple of seasons. Very much. So, and I'm not usually into prequel stuff. But Better Call Saul was quite good, and I am looking forward to picking it up, but I got a few other things I got to do first. I got to get through Punisher Season 2. That's right up there. I mean, I got to get that one done and out of the way, and then maybe once that and a couple other things I got to check out, then I'll see if I can get through to finishing off Better Call Saul. But so far, so good. I'm liking it quite a bit, Joel. All right. Red Kite Films writes, mental health is an important topic to talk about, especially depression and suicide, but very hard to talk about. If more movies focused on these topics, would they flop or be successes? Thanks, John. Well, first of all, you're absolutely right. And movies are a great place to talk about them, but it's tricky. Movies are expensive things to make. Can you make a movie about those topics that have a very good chance of at least breaking even, if not making money? Because again, this is the movie business. People are in this to make money. Can you? Yes, you can. But the question is not, is it possible? Because in the movies and the movie business, just about anything is possible. The question becomes, is it likely? And I don't know how likely it is, but I will say this. It will present a set of challenges. There's not a lot of people who are going to run out and just buy their tickets up in droves for a depression and suicide movie. That's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. So it's one of those things where, damn, it's a very good question. Because yes, absolutely, these are topics that need to be discussed more. They need to be talked about more. I didn't go into it into great detail, but before Christmas, I let you guys know that somebody I knew just back up in Canada just recently committed suicide. And I didn't go into details. I don't want to go into details. But depression, I've got another close friend of mine in Canada that I just found out, used to be one of my closest friends. And I just found, I get a little bit out of touch in recent years, but just found out from a mutual friend that they're really struggling with depression to the point that people are worried about them. And I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. So it's tough. And you're right. The silence on these types of topics is not helpful. Is the movies the place for that? The movies could be a very powerful place for like that. But again, the struggle and the problem that's going to face a studio that may want to tackle something like that is, can we possibly find a way to make these issues centerpieces of our movie while being true to those issues and doing those issues justice, and yet make them in such a way that would draw people to come to the movie theaters to come and watch it? Can it be done? Yes. But would it be very, very challenging to do? The answer to that is also yes. So it's a wonderful question, Red Kite. I think it's a great question. And I just hope some studio can really crack the code. I mean, look, we have seen movies in the past about these topics, but not often do they make a big splash or get a lot of attention. So it's tough. It's hard, but here's just hoping somebody can crack that code. Excellent question, Red. I really appreciate you sending that in. All right. Brendan Millspa writes, also, I think the DCU is making a huge mistake by not focusing on shared universe anymore. Have some Elseworld stuff, but why ditch a shared universe? God, I wish DC could have been in Marvel's place. Well, I mean, here's the thing, Brendan. Is it that big of a mistake? I don't know. Because let's look at what the evidence is right now. They made Batman versus Superman. struggled. Made money, but not nearly as much as they thought it would, and from the critical and the audience perception, it set them back. They did Justice League, struggled, more than broke even, but again, a Justice League movie should have been in the $2 billion conversation, not $600 million plus. And again, a lot of people didn't like it, set them back. Now, they make a truly standalone Wonder Woman movie that is in their cinematic universe, because, there's that letter from Batman in it, but you don't see anybody else. And huge hit. Huge hit. Now they do another standalone movie with Aquaman, with none of the other DCEU heroes in it. I mean, other than Mara, but she's Aquaman. The movie becomes their first $1 billion film. So here's the thing, Brendan. If you're sitting in a boardroom with these guys, you're going to have a hard time convincing them that shared universe is the way to go. You're going to have a real hard time, because they're going to go, well, we have evidence that says otherwise. Bing, bing, bing. And they're going to point to these pieces of data that show that they have an easier time making these standalone movies. They can make them for cheaper, and they seem to make more money than their team-up movies. Look, at the end of the day, I don't care. I really don't. I just want to see good movies. You give me a good movie that's a team-up between Aquaman and Wonder Woman, great. I'm happy. You give me a great movie that's just a standalone with Shazam, great. I'm happy. Other than that, I don't care. Just give me great movies. And if right now your best approach to giving us great movies is to focus on standalone stuff and not on the shared cinematic universe, then you do you, DC. You do you. We all know they're still in a shared cinematic universe, even if we don't have crossovers. Fine. The bottom line is it's not about whether things cross over or whether about things are standalone. It's about, do you give us good movies? Now, I have been screaming and crying and whining forever that where are our good standalone movies anymore? Why does every fucking thing have to be shared cinematic universe? Batman Begins wasn't in a shared cinematic universe. Christopher Reeve's Superman wasn't in a shared cinematic universe. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies weren't in a shared cinematic universe. Some of the best superhero movies ever made. Certainly some of the most iconic. Why does everything have to be shared cinematic universe? But I have not called for the elimination of shared cinematic universe. I love shared cinematic universe. I just want both and. Not either or, I want both and. DC right now seems to be in a place where they think their best shot at making good films that people enjoy and gets them box office returns that they want is leaning away from the shared cinematic universe stuff. And again, from the data, it's hard to argue against them. It's hard to argue against them. Look, it's much easier to make a good Shazam movie than it is to make a good Shazam, Flash, Wonder Woman movie. That becomes more problematic. Marvel makes it look easy, but it ain't easy. Marvel makes it look easy, but it ain't easy. So I'm all for whatever it takes for DC to get their footing, to get them back to the place where they should be, where the average movie-going fan can hear of a DC movie coming out and feel instant positive thoughts instead of instant negative thoughts. I'm all for them doing whatever they need to do to get healthy again. That's priority number one. Making good movies is priority number one. And again, I don't really care all that much if it's a good Flash, Wonder Woman, Aquaman team-up movie, or if it's a standalone Shazam movie. Make great movies, and guess what? Winning cures everything. Once you make a few of these great in a row and people are loving the DCEU, then you can start talking about crossing over, and then you can start talking about shared cinematic universe. Just get yourself healthy first, put out some great movie first, garner some goodwill from the fans and the critics and the box office first. Do that for a couple of years, and then you'll be in a really good place to do some shared cinematic universe stuff. Give them time. Walter Hamada seems to have a plan. And I'm developing more and more faith in Walter Hamada and his plan as we see things unfold. And let's give them some time and see how this plays out. Because I'll tell you what, Aquaman was a good, fun film. They now put out a Shazam film. And if it's as good or better than Aquaman, then hell yeah, then the plan's working. Just keep doing that for a while. Just keep doing that. We got to think. What Walter Hamada needs to do is stop thinking short term, like DC has always done, and they got to start thinking long term. This seems like a long-term plan, and we as fans got to let them execute a long-term plan so we can have two thriving, successful, fan-loved, critically loved comic book superhero universes, both Marvel and DC. And if this is the path they got to take to get there, they're totally fine with me. Totally fine with me. Although I would like to see a Wonder Woman Aquaman movie. Yes, I would. But we'll just give them time. Give them time. Let's see. Damien writes, Zimmer, Nolan, in my opinion, the best director-composer duo. Sorry, there's these two guys called Spielberg and John Williams. Sorry. To me, it's not even close. I love Zimmer and Nolan together. Yes. Don't hold a candle yet to Spielberg Williams. So give it time. Who knows? Let's have that conversation again in 10 or 15 years. But for right now, like, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm with you, Damien. The Zimmer-Nolan combo is fantastic. It's great. But GOAT is Spielberg Williams. Easily, to me, at any rate. GOAT is Spielberg Williams. Alex Hajna writes, if A Star is Born wins the SAG for cast, which I think is very likely, do you think that raises its chances for Best Picture at the Oscars? No, not really. I would have no argument with it winning for cast at the SAGs, but the reality is this. In the 91 years of the Academy Awards, only 4 times out of 90 has the Best Picture winner not had its director nominated for Best Director. It's only happened 4 times in history. The last time was Ben Affleck and his movie Argo winning Best Picture, but he wasn't nominated for Best Director. I believe before that, you have to go all the way back to Driving Miss Daisy. And then after that, you got to go all the way back to the 1930s. Only 4 times in 90 years has it happened. Those are some pretty astronomical odds. Which, of course, means that 96 times, or 86 times out of 90, the Best Picture winner also had its director nominated for Best Director. 86 times, as opposed to 4. So that means it's happened before, so it's possible. It is possible, but the odds are really stacked against it. The odds are really stacked against it. Like, I thought the 3 big frontrunners were Green Book, Roma, and A Star is Born. And I like Green Book and Star is Born much better than I like Roma. But at this point now, it looks like it's a foregone conclusion that Roma is going to win Best Picture. It's got a lot of heat going into the Oscars, and out of those 3, it's the only one that also had its director nominated for Best Director. So even if A Star is Born wins the SAG Award for Best Ensemble Cast, I don't see it increasing its chances very much. Again, not impossible, just still severely unlikely. Zeke Said So writes, was Cooper snubbed at the Oscar for Best Director? I don't think so. I think Bradley Cooper did a very good job with that movie. But as I said in my initial review, and by the way, Star is Born is my number 5 favorite film of the year. I thoroughly endorse its nomination for Best Picture. I think it's a wonderful, fantastic film, and what Bradley Cooper did was great. But I also believe, and I said this in my very first review for those of you guys who watched it, that watching the movie, you could tell Bradley Cooper was making a few first-time director mistakes. And I went into those in detail. I won't do it again here, but I went into those into detail. So, no, look, I wouldn't have complained had Bradley Cooper been nominated for Best Director, but was he snubbed? No, I don't think it was a snub. Not at all. I have no problem with him not getting nominated for it. I would have been okay if he had been, but honestly, he made some gaffes. I think he made some directorial gaffes in that were indicative of a first-time director, even though he did many, many, many good things. So, but that's just my opinion. It's only my opinion. I do not think he was snubbed at all. Let's see. Brian Esparza writes, are you a MK fan? Thoughts on the MK? Oh, gameplay. Oh, Mortal Kombat. Well, look, I'll tell you this. I saw a lot of the footage from Mortal Kombat 11. It looks stupid fun. It looks stupid fun. So I'm down for that. That looked incredible. It was the best part of the Game Awards because the Game Awards were a complete waste. But one of the best things of the Game Awards was when they did that big preview of Mortal Kombat 11. That looked crazy and gory and violent, but that looked crazy. So I'm curious to see what that's going to be like when it comes out. I haven't seen gameplay for it. I just saw cutscene stuff, so I haven't seen gameplay yet. So I'll keep my eyes open for that. Joel M. writes, Steeler fan here. I was at the game where we beat your Patriots. What an experience, even though we're out. What do you think of the Antonio Brown? Oh, yeah, he's done. He's done. And I'm a fan of the Steelers. I'd say I've got the Steelers in my top 5 favorite football teams. Clearly, my favorite is the Patriots. I mean, clearly. But I like the Steelers very much. But what a mess that whole organization is in right now. It's just a mess. And I got to admit, clearly I was cheering for the Patriots, but it was good to see the Steelers finally get a little bit of a sweet win over them. And the Patriots didn't need it there in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I don't see. Look, next season Antonio Brown is not a Steeler. I mean, he's just not. It'd be great if they could work that out, but it looks like at this point, Joel, unfortunately, it looks like that's a foregone conclusion. But look, as long as Ben is the quarterback there, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. I don't know if they're going to go on any Super Bowl runs anytime soon, but they're going to be fine. Alex Hajno writes, you're certain Roma is winning Best Picture, but Green Book took home the PGA for Best Film. So at this point, I think it has a better shot. Yeah, no. Look, Green Book not only took home the PGA award, it also took home the National Board of Review award. But again, math is math. Green Book's director did not get nominated for Best Director. 86 of the Best Picture winners out of 90. Let this statistic wash over you. It is worth repeating 1,000 times. 86 out of 90 Best Picture winners in 90 years all had their director nominated for Best Director. Only 4 out of 90, now going to the 91st, only 4 films won Best Picture without their director being nominated for Best Director. It's just math. Now, I hope Green Book wins. I love that movie. I put Green Book over A Star is Born. I put Green Book over Roma. The films that I have over Green Book, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and A Quiet Place, were not nominated for Best Picture, so I can't cheer for either of those to win. But I'll be cheering for Green Book to win. I will. And I'll be cheering for A Star is Born to win over Roma, because I didn't even like Roma. Everybody else loves it. I didn't like it, so whatever. All film is subjective. But I just don't think it's... I mean, look, all I'm saying is math. All I'm saying is math. And history shows that almost every single time the Best Picture winner also had its director nominated for Best Director. And that ain't the case here. And that's a huge blow to its chances to win. Huge blow. So maybe we'll get lucky and Green Book will take it. I hope it does. But I think the odds are incredibly stacked against it. Incredibly stacked against it. Regardless of what the PGA only has a few... The PGA members only make up a small percentage of the overall Academy voting membership. So, is it possible? Well, 4 times out of 90 it happened. So you're saying there's a chance. There's a chance. I don't like the chances, though. Let's see. Mike Hill writes, Dracula Untold meant to be part of a monster universe. Look, when they did Dracula Untold with the great Luke Evans, I love Luke Evans. When they did Dracula Untold, there was some thought of unofficially making it the kickoff to the monster universe. Hence, they put in that little end credit scene, right? But when it flopped and people didn't like it, they scrapped those plans very quickly. There was some thought in doing it, but they put those plans away pretty quick after the movie flopped. Stubble McShave writes, rewatch Braveheart, so good, basically with no CGI. No, the movie is amazing. And again, I was aghast. What's that line from Les Mis? The song from Les Mis? I am agog, I am aghast, as Mary has found true love at last. Just look at the way he oohs and ahs. I won't sing Les Mis for you. But I was agog and aghast when I read people saying, no, not even top 25 best movie. Are you freaking insane, people? I'm taking crazy pills. I'm living in a world gone mad. The movie's great. Alex Hajna follows up with, I'm predicting another Affleck Argo situation. Quran for best director or Star is Born for best picture. Well, wait a second, Alex. Did you not just say that you think Green Book? How are you? You just said you think Green Book. There it is, right there, right here. Where am I? Right here. You just said you thought Green Book has the best chance because it won the PGA, and now you're saying Star is Born? Okay. Now look, I'm going to say, I think they each have a chance. But it's you would be unwise to put your money on it. Out of 90, 86 times it goes to a movie with its director nominated for Best Director. Only 4 times it didn't. It would be kind of foolish to put your money on that. There's a chance. There's a chance. I'm hoping for Green Book. Chance. But you would be very unwise to put money on that. Very unwise. Alex follows that up with, you said the other day that Black Panther was the highest grossing Best Picture nominee of all time, unless you meant the time of the nomination. You seem to be forgetting 2 little films called Titanic and Avatar. Yes, and I'll tell you what, after I did that show, my Twitter feed was flooded with messages. Now look, telling me Titanic and Avatar. Now, obviously, Titanic and Avatar made more money. Look, I could sit here and save face by telling you, no, what I meant to say was it's the highest grossing of the nominees that year. It's the highest grossing of the nominees that year. But nope, the reality is I just brain froze on Avatar and Titanic. I could sit here and try to minimize the damage and say, oh, no, what I meant was out of all the films nominated this year, then all you guys would go, oh, okay, then that case. But no, the reality is I just brain froze on Titanic and Avatar. And do not worry, Alex, I was reminded by about 500 tweets that came in after that show aired. John, what about Avatar and Titanic? I'm like, it's kind of like how I brain froze on the title Scott Pilgrim versus the World earlier in the show. It's like, yeah, what was I thinking? Yeah, of course, Avatar and Titanic. Well, I don't know what I was thinking. So thank you for being the 501st person, Alex, to point that out. But you're absolutely right. Jared's Reviews writes, which is the biggest Oscar snubs? Andrew Garfield, no nomination for Social Network. Ben Affleck, no nomination for Argo. Or Won't You Be My Neighbor? Nomination. Apparently you got another one that comes later. It's close. I'll go Ben Affleck, no nomination for Argo. And here's why. Because while I thought Andrew Garfield should have been nominated and should have won, he should have won Best Supporting Actor that year, not just nominated, he should have won. Ben Affleck not only should have won Best Director, he was winning Best Director at all the other awards, including the DGA Awards, the Directors Guild of America. The directors said the Best Director of the Year is Ben Affleck. And here's where it gets really confusing. You know who does the nominating for Best Director on the Academy? The directors, who, by the way, are mostly all members of the DGA. I cannot understand for the life of me how the directors, who are the ones who nominate Best Director at the Oscars, just voted Ben Affleck as the winner of the Best Director of the Year at the DGA Awards, and yet these same people didn't nominate him for their category of Best Director. Now keep in mind, it's not the whole Academy that nominates people. It's the members of the individual branches that nominate people in their branch. So the director's branch puts up the nominations for the best director. The actor's branch put up the nominations for the actors. The cinematographers and writers, they all put up their nominees, and then once the nominees are there, then the whole Academy votes. But the same people who just gave Ben Affleck Best Director of the Year at the DGA did not even nominate him at the Oscars. I'll never understand that. That had to be some kind of weird mathematical anomaly that happened in their voting process. Because it was the exact same people. So I don't get that. So I'll have to go, the Ben Affleck one is the biggest snub. All right. Where am I at here? Bellboy Baggins writes, it'd be cool with a Nick Fury Black Widow film with a Mission Impossible feel to it. Maybe throw in Hawkeye, Coulson, Maria to complete the team. You know, I said this before, Bellboy, and I think you're referring to something I said on the Weekly Hero once. I've never wanted, as much as I like Hawkeye in the MCU, I've never wanted a Hawkeye movie. As much as I love Black Widow in the MCU, and I love her in the MCU, I've never wanted a Black Widow standalone movie. As much as I love Nick Fury in the MCU, and I've never wanted a standalone Nick Fury movie. But then the idea got brought up, well, what about a movie with all those characters together in a Mission Impossible Bourne Identity kind of movie? I got to tell you what, that gets my attention. So you put Maria Hill, Coulson, but he's dead in the movies, whatever. Coulson, and then your big three, Fury, Black Widow, Hawkeye. I'm down for that. I've never wanted to see standalone movies with any of those characters, but I would be down for that. So you, me, Bellboy, same page. I'd be totally down for that. SJ writes, just saw Glass. Ending was really strange. Again, I've said this about Glass. I know a lot of people are dissing on the ending. Even people who like the movie are dissing on the ending. I didn't like the movie, but I thought it was a bold ending. Maybe he didn't execute it right, and maybe it didn't work. But I still feel it was kind of bold. I see what he was going for, and I can at least respect what he was going for. And anyway, that's just kind of my thought on that. All right, Alex follows up with, Forrest Gump is my all-time favorite film. Man, there are a lot of people who love that film, man. But it gets a lot of flack because it beat out Shawshank and Pulp Fiction for Best Picture. I think it's absolutely worthy, but many think the Academy made the wrong choice. What are your thoughts? I've talked about this a lot, Alex, before, actually. There is no doubt that Forrest Gump is great. Forrest Gump is great. But history has kind of shown now, when you go over a lot of like greatest film of all time lists, whether it's from like AFI or DGA or any of that kind of stuff, almost without exception, Shawshank Redemption will always rank higher than Forrest Gump. Shawshank Redemption, to me, is one of the epitomes of one of the greatest movies ever made. It is in my top 10 best films ever made. I think it is simply one of the greatest achievements in filmmaking history. It is one of the most powerful films, one of the most brilliantly put together films, blah, blah, blah. And now, as we've had many, many years separate that year from now, as you look at greatest films of all, at least the legitimate greatest films of all time lists, and everybody has different ones, but almost without exception, Shawshank Redemption will almost every time, be ranked not just higher, but significantly higher than Forrest Gump. Now, that's hard for me to say in this house, because in my house, saying anything negative about any movie Tom Hanks is in risks you getting your penis cut off in your sleep, because my wife believes Tom Hanks is basically Gozer. My wife thinks Tom Hanks is the all-time greatest human being, okay? So there's that. So I got to be careful what I say, or I'm going to wake up missing something. But I mean, again, it's one of those great situations where, hey, was Shawshank better? Yeah, by a mile, in my opinion. But at least it didn't lose to a bad film. Forrest Gump was great. And guess what? You put Forrest Gump in a lot of other years, Forrest Gump would have won Best Picture. In a lot of other years. The thing about the Oscars is you're competing against the films that are also out that year. And that makes it tricky. But But at least Forrest Gump is a great film that would have won Best Picture in a lot of years. And that makes me sleep a little bit better at night. But yes, I when you ask me and to talk about what I think was the biggest mistake ever made in Oscar history. To me, the biggest mistake ever in Oscar history was The Shawshank Redemption not winning Best Picture. And that is not me casting any shade. Anne, are you listening? I am not casting, sweetheart, any shade at all on Forrest Gump or Tom Hanks. I'm not saying that. It's great. It's wonderful. I swear, sweetheart, it's wonderful. It's just, Shawshank is simply one of the greatest motion pictures ever made. And that's kind of where I fall on that, Alex. So, but again, it's all subjective. Look, man, you think Forrest Gump is great, and your opinion is no less and no more valid than mine, and you are entitled to it, and I celebrate that. And us having different opinions about movies is what being a film fan is all about. So you love that movie all you want. Doesn't matter how many people think that, Shawshank should have won. Doesn't matter. You loved it most. That's all that counts, man. All right. John Jordan writes, what's your favorite Endgame theory? Also, can it beat 2.5 billion worldwide? I also want to see proof Hulk gets revenge on Thanos. Well, you're asking a lot of questions there, John. Let's just go with, can it beat 2.5 billion? Can it? Yes, it can. Will it? I don't know. Robert seems convinced that it's going to make 3 billion. And no, it's not going to make 3 billion. I remember everybody telling me that Infinity War is going to beat out Avatar and it's going to make $3 billion and it's going to blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, it's not. And it didn't. And now we got everybody saying it's going to make $3 billion. It's not going to make $3 billion. Now, I'm also the guy who said Venom wouldn't make 800. And I'm also the guy that said Aquaman wouldn't make $1 billion. And here we are. But no. Can it make all the money that Infinity War made and another 500 million on top of that? No. Who didn't see Infinity War that is still left over to go and watch Endgame? It's just not, there's nobody. Everybody went to see Infinity War and everybody went to see it multiple times. It's not going to make 500 million more than that. But Robert insists that it will, and maybe, 5 months from now, we're going to be talking about how Avengers Endgame made 300 million. If it does, great. I just don't see it happening. But who knows? The real question to me is not the $300 million one. The real question to me is the $2.5 billion one. That's the real question. And I think there's a very legitimate chance that it does not make as much money as Infinity War, but also a very valid chance that it can. If I was given an over-under number right now and I had to put $100 on it, and you said the over-under is 50.1%, over-under 50.1% that Endgame makes more than Infinity War. Right now, I would put my money on the over. But I wouldn't say 55%, and I certainly wouldn't say 60%. It's going to be tight, and it's going to be close. It's going to be tight. But here's the thing. Can we just agree right now, people? Can we please just agree right now that if Avengers Endgame only makes $2.4 billion, that is not a disappointment nor a failure? Because you just know that there are going to be brain-dead idiots out there that, Avengers Endgame only made $2.3 billion. What a flop. You know there's already people out there that are prepping to say that, right? Can we just agree that Avengers Endgame doesn't need to make $2.5 billion to be a success? Can we at least not be so stupid? Can we agree right now, as fellow film fans all around the world, can we make a pact with one another not to be such driveling idiots that we pretend to even say that anything less than $2.5 billion is a failure? Can we just agree not to be that dumb, please? Sorry, text message. I'm expecting a message from my wife. It's probably Ann telling me that my life is in danger for daring to question. No, it's not that. Okay, that's good. I'm just expecting a message from my wife any minute now to tell me that my life is in danger. So can we just agree on that? But yeah, I do think there's a very real chance it doesn't make 2.5, but come on, it doesn't need to make 2.5. If it makes $2.3 billion, it still makes it one of the most successful films in cinematic history. So let's just agree on that for now. Let's see whether it crosses 2.5, but let's just agree if it makes 2.3, it's not a failure. Jared's Reviews writes, let's see. Planet of the Apes losing visual effects over Blade Runner and Lego Movie No Nom. I choose Planet of the Apes losing. Was completely shocked. I don't know, man. Like Blade Runner. Oh boy. I'll tell you what. I'm still flabbergasted by the Lego thing. I'm still absolutely flabbergasted by the Lego thing. As a matter of fact, I mentioned off the top of the show, I was at a Lego 2 event this morning that Warner Brothers invited me and Ann to go to. And I was talking to their publicist today. And we got into the conversation about the Lego movie not being nominated for Best Animated Film. And I'll never forget this because we were all 100% sure that the Lego movie was going to win Best Animated Picture. Like it wasn't even a question to us. And I remember this is back in the AMC days. And I remember we were getting ready to do our Oscar nomination analysis after the Oscar nominations came out, right? And Lego Movie wasn't even nominated. And we all just like looked at each other like, wait, that had to been a mistake. There had to have been like a Steve Harvey announcing Miss Universe mistake. There had to be, that was a mistake, right? It was just, I just can't remember being that shocked about something. Because like to me and to a lot of people, it was obvious. Lego Movie was the best animated film of that year. It was just obvious. It was. And it didn't get nominated. I still haven't gotten over that, Jared. So that, because of that level of shock to me, that's going to, out of the examples you've given, these are all good examples, but out of that set of examples, that's the one that's really stands out to me. All right. Mike Hill writes, saw The Upside very recently. All I can say is Kevin Hart can act. The movie was okay, but very impressed with Kevin. I'll say this. Kevin did much better. Kevin showed me something in that movie. I mentioned this before, that he was capable of some things I didn't think he was capable of. I am not willing to say it was a great performance, but he did better in it. And I'm a Kevin Hart fan. He did better in that movie. He showed me he was capable of some things that I just quite frankly didn't think he was capable of. So I was pleasantly surprised by his performance. I'm still not going to sit here and say, oh, it was a great performance and wow, this has got to be considered come Oscar time. Nah, but much better than I thought. And I was pleasantly surprised. But then again, there's a lot of this movie. Remember, this movie is a remake of a French film that was much better. But there's still just a lot of Kevin Hart in that role, right? So let's not get too carried away. Kevin Hart was still essentially Kevin Hart in the movie. But he also went above and beyond it in a number of scenes, again, showing me something I didn't think he had. And it makes me very curious to see how he could do if he tried dipping his toe. I mean, he's been in the movie business a long time. So I'd be curious. If anything, one of the things The Upside did for me was make me even more curious about how and what Kevin Hart can do if he decides to dip his toe a little bit more into the dramatic. And just to see where he's going. Because he's already shown me he can do things I didn't think he could. I'm not ready to call him a great actor. I'm not. I'm very entertained by him in movies. I think he's a great performer. But The Upside wasn't enough to make me call him a great actor, but it made me realize he's capable of more than I thought he was. And I'd be very curious to see him do some more stuff. Let's see. Senpaigar writes, watching A Quiet Place and Logan Lucky today. First of all, you know me, Quiet Place to me, I think is the best movie of the year. And if there's anybody I thought was snubbed of a directing nomination, it's John Krasinski. Because what he did with that movie, especially considering a big percentage of that movie had no dialogue, It's all atmosphere, and it's all movement and action and expression, and it's all direction. This movie's all direction. Logan Lucky, not one of the best movies of the year, but I had a great time with Logan Lucky. I hope it's a good double feature today, Senpai Gar. I hope you have a good time. Stubble McShave writes, do you usually get in touch with Rob through his chat? No. So what happened was, yesterday, we have Patreon supporters, and we started a couple of weeks ago, we started a new podcast exclusively for our Patreon supporters called Best of the Week, where we talk about our favorite things from that week. It's me, Ashley, and Robert Meyer Burnett. And we take also questions from our Patreon supporters, and it's only for our Patreon supporters. Anyway, we recorded on Friday afternoon, and Rob and I talked on Wednesday. We're going to record the podcast at 12:30. Well, because the week before we did it at 2:30, he had 2:30 in his head. I email him the night before and Ashley saying, guys, don't forget 12:30 tomorrow. And I heard back from Ashley, but I didn't hear back from Robert. Okay. So at 10 in the morning, I see on Twitter Rob saying, hey guys, tune in for new Robservations at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? So I text him, Rob, we've got our podcast at 12:30. Are you going to do a short Robservations? And sure enough, 12:30 rolls around and he's still doing Robservations. La, 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 la. And I get on his live chat, Rob, we have a podcast to do right now. And because I didn't know how else to reach him, I tried emailing him, I had tried calling him, I had tried texting him, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, Rob finally sees that message. And he calls me. He cuts his show a little bit short. And he calls me, dude, I never saw your messages, because I guess he didn't check his phone all morning because he was doing his notes for his Robservation. And he guesses maybe he went to bed before I emailed him, so he never saw it. So he didn't see the email, he didn't see the text, he didn't see my initial message. So we were late doing our podcast, which is totally fine. Look, it happened. I told Rob, this happens. Every once in a while, just a perfect storm of circumstances happened that, like, everything had to go wrong for us to miss it, and everything went wrong, and it's no big deal. So I just got on his live chat just to give him a hard time. Like, you're supposed... Because he's talking about the Red Angels in Star Trek Discovery. And I typed on his... Just to give him a hard time. I got on his live chat and I said, you know what the Red Angels wouldn't do? They wouldn't be late for their damn podcast recording. And I put that up there. I just was trying to give him a hard time, right? But he felt really bad about it. He felt so bad about it. And I tried to tell him, dude, not a big deal. It happens. Don't worry about it. But he felt terrible about it, and he shouldn't have. But no, I don't often reach out to him on his chats. I was just giving him a hard time. Darren Chavez writes, will Endgame break the opening weekend record? I don't know, man, because that's a big number. Right now, we'll have to see more trailers, and we'll have to gauge the public excitement. But I'd say it's a 50-50 chance. I would guess no, but not definitively. I wouldn't say no definitively. I think it very well could. But if I had to put $5 down right now, I will guess it will not break the opening weekend record. But don't hold me to that. I think there's a very good possibility it could. But I just think there's a slightly better chance that it won't. So we're going to have to wait and see. Alex writes, you said you have a business partner that's a voting member of the Academy. Any chance you could get him/her on to talk about the voting process? No, but I can point you to a video that I produced that fully explains the Oscar voting process. I produced a video about, I guess it was going on 2 years ago now, at the last place that I worked. And it fully explains the voting process and how that all works. I could probably point you to that. I cannot get my partner, her name's Susan, by the way. I cannot get her on camera. Believe me, I would love to. I've tried a couple of times. I can't get her. She doesn't even like me, Mitch. She doesn't like any spotlight on her. And so I shouldn't even be talking about her, to be honest with you. But no, probably can't get her on the camera. But I will share a link at some point here to that video that I produced about that. And it's very informative, and I think it really lays it out quite well. Keep your eyes open for that, Alex. All right, you know what? I'll put it when I'm done this video, I will put it in the comments section. So keep your eye. I will put it in the comments section that you can find that video there. And hopefully that will explain some things. It's a good question, though. Darren Chavez writes, will it catch Infinity Wars 2.048 billion. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I was saying 2.5 billion before. I still think 2.5 billion. Can it catch the 2 points? Again, I don't know. Sorry, guys. Earlier I was confusing. You said 2.5, and I was thinking, yeah, that's what Infinity War made, 2.5. The number was actually 2.04. It was 250 million, not 2.5. It was 250 million. That's why I got it confused. So my apologies for that. Anyway, can it catch? Again, we just had that whole discussion, Darren, about what are the chances that Endgame can catch Infinity War in its total box office. Again, it's a 50-50 proposition for me. We're just going to have to wait and see. I don't think 3 billion is possible, but we're just going to have to wait and see. My confusion for confusing those numbers before, because we were talking about overall record. When I get 250 is the weekend record, and I got that confused with the 2.5 you said earlier. My apologies for that, guys. Sometimes my brain just scrambles. Sorry about that, dudes. My bad. Jake Leo writes, thoughts on the Muppets 2011? I watched it the other day and found it pretty charming. I miss seeing Jason Segel in things. I loved that movie. I was very disappointed in the follow-up one they did. I can't remember the name of the one, but they did a sequel, and it was out without Jason Segel, and I did not care for it. That Muppet movie, though, was it 2011? Was it really that long ago? Was it really? Oh, crap. Yeesh. Okay. I love that movie. I think it's charming and fun, and Am I a Man or Am I a Muppet? Or that one song Kermit sings about images in his mind. It's a beautiful, I love that movie. Unabashedly, I love that movie. Again, my phone's buzzing. I just got to double check to make sure it's not my wife writing to me. Okay, nope, don't need it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Let's see. Senpaigar writes, I hope Travis Knight does the next Transformers movie. I'll be surprised if he doesn't, because he loves Transformers. And he did such a great job on Bumblebee. So clearly the studio will want him back. And as long as he wasn't lying about his lifelong love affair with Transformers, I got to imagine he will. So I think the chances are pretty good. All right. Brett Brooks writes, my wife knows how much I love Spider-Man. She got me an Iron Spider Funko for Christmas, and we are seeing Spider-Verse again. What's your favorite Funko? I've been asked this before. I think you can just see them right here under Groot. So right here, okay? You can't see the other ones beside him. But my favorite ones are the first two Funko Pops I ever got, because I was not buying Funko Pops. And then my brother-in-law, but everybody else was. And my brother-in-law, on one of his daily trips to Hot Topic to buy new Pops, saw a couple he knew I would like and bought them for me. It was Ray. He bought them for me, and it's Sam and Dean Winchester. That one you see right there should be Dean. Yep, that one's Dean, and then you don't see Sam beside him. But Sam and Dean Winchester. And then the next one I got after that was a Castiel. And then that just kind of broke the seal for me. Then I started just buying tons of Funko Pops. And now I have tons of them. But my favorite ones are still the first ones I got, Sam and Dean. Those are still my favorites. Thanks for asking, Brett. All right, Alex follows up with, in a world where streaming is becoming more and more prominent, do you foresee the Academy changing their criteria for qualifying for an Oscar? Ooh, yeah, because right now, the big criteria, the main criteria is that your film needs to play in New York and LA on at least one screen where a paying audience can go see it in that calendar year. So movies that Netflix want to be qualified for the Oscars, they have to put it out in at least a couple of theaters in New York and Los Angeles. And they make their movies qualify that way. I don't see that qualification going away anytime soon, because it's not a difficult thing for a Netflix or an AMC Prime Amazon Prime, hey, we're going to buy out a movie theater in Los Angeles and put this in the movie theater for 1 week and allow people to buy tickets to it. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's not difficult. And it's not expensive by studio standards. By studio standards, it's not expensive to do that. It's cheap, it's easy, it's convenient. There's no problems with getting that done. So because of that, I really don't see those standards changing anytime soon. But eventually, yeah, eventually at some point that's going to change. But I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, because it's not like it's a super difficult thing. It's like, oh no, what's Netflix going to do? We got this movie Roma, but we don't know how to put it into a movie theater. Yes, they do. And it's easy and it's simple. And because it's so easy and simple, the Academy won't see any need to change that standard for now. But down the road, maybe down the road. All right. Nino Mignano writes, favorite MCU film besides Captain America, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Infinity War? Oh, simple. It's the original Avengers. I still think the first Avengers movie is the best comic book movie of all time. It's the best comic book movie of all time, in my opinion. And it still is. I love Winter Soldier. I love Infinity War. I think Black Panther's great. But yeah, to me, it's still the original Avengers movie. That's still the one to me. That's the movie that to me went, comic book movies are here now. Yep. Now comic book movies are not only here, they are going to be the big thing. That was the movie that convinced me of that. Josh Sullivan, because like for Dark Knight, it's like, oh my God, this is how good a comic book movie can be. But it wasn't the type of movie that you knew was going to kick off it becoming the biggest genre in film. It was that first Avengers movie that did that. And look, there's a lot of people who feel like Dark Knight is the greatest. There's some people who think Winter Soldier is the best, and some people, and that's all fine. But for me, it's the first Avengers. Josh Sullivan writes, have you watched Mrs. Brown's Boys? I'll be honest with you, Josh, I'm not familiar with it. So no, I'm not familiar with it. Nikhil Shirsat writes, when you say Isle of Dogs, it sounds like you're saying I love dogs. Did you know that? Of course you did. Love that movie. Keep up the good work, Pisces. Yes, of course, Pisces was my professional breakdancing name. You think I'm joking? I'm not. Isle of Dogs. It does sound like I'm saying I love dogs, doesn't it? Isle of Dogs. Isle of Dogs. It sounds exactly like I'm saying I love dogs. Wow. I've never thought of that, Nikhil. Yeah, I wanted to like it, and a lot of my friends do love it, Nikhil, just much like you do. I didn't dig it. And you know, it's funny because me and Ann, we're both real dog people. We love dogs. I've had dogs my whole life. So I was super excited about it, but it just didn't click with me. Didn't click with me. But I know tons of people that like it, including you, Nikhil, so you are in good company. All right. RHMDC5 writes, what's up, John? I appreciate all you do and enjoy your channel a lot. Thank you. No, thank you, RHMDC5, very much for just taking... That's so nice. Look, you took the time, paid for a super chat just to send in to say something nice. Dude, you are today's nice person of the day. That's not a real thing. I just made it up right now. But you're it right now. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of it, RH. Sempaigar writes, talking with my brother about the buddy cop type movies we like from the past. National Security, I Spy, Showtime. I like Showtime. Nobody mentioned Showtime. I'm glad you did, Sempaigar, because I like that movie. Rush Hour, not a big fan of Rush Hour, but I love Rush Hour too. Blue Streak, so good, yeah. And then you get some of the grander ones, like, oh, damn, why am I freezing on the Sylvester Stallone what is the name of that? Not Cobra. The one with Kurt Russell and Sylvester Stallone. Tango and Cash. That's what it is. Tango and Cash, all those ones. Again, I love Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour 2 is one of those rare films where I didn't like the original film much, but I like the sequel but I like the sequel quite a bit. Not a lot of franchises like that, but Rush Hour is one of those. But Showtime, that's an underrated buddy cop movie. That's an underrated buddy cop movie, and I'm so glad. I don't know that ever in the history of my show somebody's brought up Showtime. I'm glad that you did, Sempaigar. Thanks for putting that in there. Brett Brooks writes, the Han had it coming stuff confuses me. Okay, so real quick. There's a character we're not talking about Han Solo from Star Wars. There's a character in the Fast and Furious movies called Han, and the Jason Statham character murdered the Han character, who was part of the Vin Diesel's crew, right? So when Jason Statham's character now works with the good guys, there are a lot of people upset about that, including Robert Meyer Burnett, saying they shouldn't accept him because he killed Han. So he's like, hashtag justice for Han, as in get rid of the Jason Statham character. And I'm like, nah, hashtag Han had it coming. That's what we're talking about. So I could see the confusion, but that's kind of what that all revolves around. Santez Henderson writes, hey, John, my wife heard that you said to me about being nice. Now all she says to me is, hey, John Campea said be nice, so do it. So thanks. Hey, Santez, just hope I don't say, you know what, Santez's wife? Santez, you should take your wife to Hawaii. Go do that. You should buy your wife some new jewelry. Just be grateful I don't say that, Santez. Count your blessings. And your wife, for listening to me, very smart woman. No, I don't mean to get you in trouble. I don't mean to get you in trouble, but you should be nice. Be very nice, Santez. All right, Sempaigar writes, oh, my throat's starting to go, guys. 2.5 hours we've been going. All right, let's keep motoring here. Sempaigar writes, some people get mad at you for saying Han had it coming because they think you two are talking Star Wars. No, it's true. Because also, Han in the Fast and Furious, he's from Seoul, like as in Seoul, Korea. So they call him Han Solo, right? That's where it comes from. So quite often in our little debates about it, Robert Meyer Burnett would say, justice for Han Solo. So yes, I could totally see, it's totally understandable why people would think, wait a minute, are you talking about Star Wars? I totally see why people think that, but no, we're actually talking about Fast and Furious. But you're right, Sempaigar. Totally easy to mix that up, I should say. Stubble McShave writes, it seems Han didn't shoot first. Hashtag Han had it coming. I like that one. Yes, I got to bring that one up to Robert. Cinematic Galaxy writes, Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, so good, I'm upset. Dude, I still remember, it was last Christmas. Ann and I are in Canada, and we're laying down at the Campea Ranch. We had just an evening in, and we're in our room, and we got a TV with a Roku in our room there. And we're like, something to watch. And Anne's like, oh, let's watch this Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. It's a new show on Amazon. I don't know. It doesn't look very good. But okay, fine. Obsessed. There's a reason. Because a lot of people are going, what the hell is this Marvelous Mrs. Maisel show that's winning all the Emmys and winning all the Golden Globes and winning all the awards? What show is this? Dude, I'm telling you, the hype is real. That show's amazing. Check it out. Tony Shalhoub's great in it too. Check it out. It's amazing. Ali Hussein writes, have you seen the final season of The Punisher? Nope. Still haven't gotten around to watching it yet. Still have not had a chance to watch it yet. Hopefully this week sometime I'll have a chance. Sorry guys, the throat's really starting to go. Hopefully sometime this week I'll have a chance to sit down and start to get through it. All right. Luthzul writes, have you seen Cold War by Paul Pawlowski? If so, how does it rank? And it's Powell's Oscar chances. Love from Poland. Love your show. Now, I'm assuming you're talking about Cold War, the one that's, because there are a couple of films named Cold War. I'm not familiar with the director's name, so I'm assuming you mean the one that's nominated for Best Foreign Film this year. If that's the case, there is heat behind it, and I think it has a pretty good chance. If you're talking about one of the other films, Cold War, my apologies, but I think the chances are actually pretty good. Cinematic Galaxy writes, the best, most unique aspect of the Harry Potter film saga for me is seeing the actors/characters grow from kids into adults. How about for you, John? Oh yeah, no, that is truly one of the special things, if not the most special things, from a cinematic point of view with the Harry Potter films, is the fact that we have literally had the chance to watch these kids grow up. There was that one movie about Boy that was filmed over like 8 or 10 years or something like that we got to see too. But something truly special about those Harry Potter films, because you go back now and watch that first one, and holy crap, look how little they are. Look how small Emma Watson is. Look how cute Daniel Radcliffe is. And now these are full-grown ass adults. And we literally, as an audience, year after year, got to watch them grow up. And I'm not the biggest Harry Potter fan in the world, by any stretch of the imagination. But I certainly have an appreciation for the films. But that is truly one of the special things about it. It really is. It's kind of the same thing about like the Star Wars movies now, is that we literally get to revisit our heroes now that they're, at the age that they're at now. We've literally seen them grow from these young adventurers saving the galaxy to now they're the old veterans. holding the galaxy together. There's something really special about that. But yeah, the Potter things, that's definitely a special aspect of it. Sentes Henderson writes, been watching Bodyguard. It's good, intense show. Look, I'm only a couple of episodes into Bodyguard. That's the new show on Netflix. It's a BBC show. Now it's on Netflix. Loving it. Loving it. It's cool to see Robb Stark rise again from the Red Wedding, but I'm telling you, I'm really enjoying it so far. Digoto1 writes, Extremely Wicked premieres tonight at Sundance, hoping for positive reviews. I didn't realize that. Oh, yeah, me too. I'm hoping for positive reviews as well. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I tell you what, though, Digato, I love that trailer. I thought the trailer was fantastic. And hopefully it's not just trash. We'll find out soon because we've been waiting a while for this movie. So I didn't realize it was premiering tonight. I had no idea. So thanks for sharing that. Okay. Another big jump. And by the way, guys, I'm going to ask that you do not send in any more super chats. I know I said we go for as long as we could, but my voice is giving out. I'm struggling a little bit here. My voice is giving out. So yes, please don't send any more super chats. I'll finish off the ones that we've got here. All right. Joseph, am I at the right one here? Yes. All right. Thanks for that, Digoto. All right. Joseph Thompson writes, I won the lottery. I was born in the USA, but I have a Swiss passport as a backup. I'll be honest with you, Joseph. I don't know if that's a movie quote that I'm just not drawing on or if you're actually telling me a wonderful problem to have. Either way, good on good on you, Joseph. All right. Let's see. Maurice Seifring writes, if you had access to a Star Trek The Next Generation holodeck for 24 hours, what movie scenarios would you recreate to take part in? Ooh. Oh, Marie, that's a topic we could sit here and talk about for hours. First of all, there's some things that I would do on a holodeck that I cannot repeat on a family show. But no, honestly, man, holodeck, I'd get in the cockpit of an X-Wing on that first assault on the first Death Star. That would be huge. Braveheart, one of those big epic battle scenes in Braveheart, being there for sure. Man, I don't know. That's an awesome topic that I can't really think about the top of my. Those are the first two that come off the top of my head. But I'm telling you, Marie, that's something we could literally sit here and talk about for hours. I don't have time for that, but woo, good question. What about the rest of you guys? Jump into the comments section. If you had 24 hours on a Star Trek holodeck and you could go and just immerse yourself in any scene of any movie, what would it be? I'll be curious to read some of your guys' responses to that. Let's see. Helsing7747 writes, I just finished watching the Lego Movie 2. It was great, but not as good as the first one or Lego Batman. I mean, Lego Batman was great. I know some people that thought the Lego Batman movie was even better than the Lego Movie. I don't need it to be as good as the first Lego movie. I just want to hear that it's good, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad you thought it was great. Its first screenings were today. I cannot wait to watch it, man. I can't wait to watch it. So thanks for sharing your thoughts on that, Helsing. I was actually curious to start hearing from people who've seen it. You're the first person I'm hearing talk about it. I'm glad to hear you're giving it a good review. All right. Ant Banks, 1984 writes, the first couple of episodes of the Ted Bundy documentary on Netflix is terrifying. To know the type of murder/crimes he did and how he did them is frightening. Not for the faint of heart. See, that's the thing. And how he was able to keep going was because of this incredible charm. He was this good-looking dude, very charming, had a lot of people eating out of the palm of his hands. And yeah, and that's why, and I remember I was a kid when the Ted Bundy stuff was going on, but I remember how terrifying everybody talked about it. I have not seen that documentary, though I totally should. But it just makes me want to see that movie all the more. And yeah, it is some horrific stuff. It is some totally horrific. It's so horrific. I was a little bit honestly surprised they were going to make the movie. But I'm glad they did. And I'm very anxious to see it again. Somebody just pointed out a little bit earlier, Ant Banks, about the fact that it's making its premiere at Sundance. Wait, not Sundance. Where is it premiering? Oh, maybe no. It is Sundance is going on right now. So we'll find out soon if people are reacting well to it or not. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed because I've really been looking forward to this movie, man. All right, Alex Doherty writes, can you finish the quote? After you box him... Nope. I'm stumped, Alex. BW Rosa writes, lately I've noticed cartoon movies based on a cartoon TV series feel more like their own film instead of being continuation of the shows. Thoughts? I don't have anything to compare that to. Latest I've noticed, you'd have to tell me what cartoon movies we're talking about. I don't have a large Rolodex there of things to compare it to, so I can't. I mean, there's the Simpsons movie, but that was a long time ago. And it certainly did feel like a continuation of the show. So I don't have 8 examples in my head that I can kind of pull off. So I can't address that. Sorry about that, BW. Fine Wen writes, I did a double feature of Upgrade and Revenge. Love them. That's a good thing. I mean, Upgrade was one I was a little bit late to. Certainly good. Look, I'll say this. I didn't end up thinking Upgrade was a great movie, but it was a great action film. You know what I mean? So that's a fun double feature. 5 follows up with, my annual movie pass expired. Couldn't be happier. Hey, and they're still trying. Dudes, it's sometime you just got to give up. Give up, movie pass. Give up, because everybody feels like, fine, nobody wants you anymore. Go away. You had a chance to be something very special. You acted really shady and underhanded, and you lost everybody. Time to pack it in. Go invest your money and try something new. Go make something that maybe everybody will like. Movie pass failed. Move on. So yeah, like Fi, your experience is what I'm hearing from a lot of people, man. All right, Ben Rayner writes, which movie did Boyish Rhapsody fit? I think you probably meant Bohemian Rhapsody. Which movie did Bohemian Rhapsody fit better? Suicide Squad or Wayne's World? Wayne's World. Because honestly now, even today, as much as it's one of the most popular songs of all time, when people say Bohemian Rhapsody, people automatically think of Wayne's World. Which is one of the reasons why Mike Myers being in Bohemian Rhapsody is so special, right? So on that basis alone, like Bohemian Rhapsody and Wayne's World are now forever, they're completely synonymous with each other now. So I'm going to go Wayne's World on that. I'm going to go Wayne's World. Let's see. Fine Wen Falls, heard of cry rooms in theaters for parents with kids. Oh, yes. I've never heard them called as cry rooms. Yeah, they've been around for years. There are these rooms that are kind of isolated but can still look into the theater where parents go with children, where if the children start to get cranky or whatever, it doesn't disturb other people watching the movie. It's a great idea, expensive to execute, and I've never been in one myself. But yeah, I think they're a wonderful idea. And if more theaters can come up with ways, again, it's floor space, and floor space is money, and it's tough. But I think it's a great idea if you're in a place that you can do it. I think it's wonderful. Let's see. Hans Studman writes, do you think the Pats-Chiefs game was rigged? Well, no, that's stupid. Anybody who says that, first of all, when the Chiefs were marching down the field, as the Chiefs had the ball, and they're marching down the field, right? Because the Pats had the lead, Chiefs come marching back down the field, they come back, tie the game or whatever, and they tie the game. Do you know how many calls there were against the Patriots in that march down the field? There were like 4 major penalties called against the Patriots that allowed the Chiefs to march down the field and tie the game. Don't tell me that game was rigged. Because if that game was rigged, all the referees had to do was not call one of those penalties in that final march down the field that allowed the Chiefs to tie the game. All they had to do was not call one of them. But they called penalty after penalty after penalty against the Patriots. So get out of here with that nonsense. That's nonsense. Toby Miller writes, ever check out The Good Place? It's awesome. I'll tell you what, my wife loves this show. And I'll tell you what, I've watched a bunch of episodes too. It's really good. It looks stupid as hell. Hell, no pun intended. It looks dumb as hell. I had no interest in it. That show was on for a while, and I saw billboards and commercials, and I'm even here. Critics love The Good Place. I've heard that before, and I just thought it looked stupid. I like Ted Danson and everything, but I just thought it looked dumb. And then my wife started watching because she had finished all of her other shows and she was looking for something new to binge. She started watching The Good Place, fell in love with it. And I've watched a few episodes. You're right, man. It's a damn good show. If you haven't checked out The Good Place, it's funny and it's smart. It's well written, good characters. Check it out if you get a chance. Royce Freeman writes, what do you think of continuity in a series like James Bond where time moves forward but the actor doesn't age? Continuity, schmontinuity. Yeah, I don't care. When it comes to Bond, who cares? Continuity, schmontinuity. It does not matter. This person's Q, that person's Q. This is M, that's M. Bond's 35, now he's 48, now he's 29. Doesn't matter to me. I'm not saying nobody else should care, but for me, it's never been an issue. I really don't care. A Bond movie is a Bond movie. That's all. I don't care about its connection to the previous films. I don't care about continuity when it comes to Bond. I just want a good Bond movie. None of the other stuff matters. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not saying anybody else there. I'm not saying it shouldn't matter to you, but I'm saying for me, I don't give 2 squirts of urine. I really don't. I just want a good Bond movie. Martin Edwards writes, hey, John from London, England. Hello. I was listening to the Rocky theme song and they still hold up. Creed films, not so much. Is it now a common trend and why? Well, look, I'll tell you what. It's too soon to say that about the Creed films. Ask that question again later. And not all the songs in Rocky hold up, by the way. In the burning heart that's about to burst. Anyway, but some of them do. But look, when you're talking about films that have some all-time themes, it's kind of like we were talking about trying to compare The Incredibles to Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, you're talking about all-time great films and some real memorable music, and those are very, 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 very rare. It becomes it's unfair to then try to draw a comparison to new incarnations of those things now and expect that they should be able to do the same thing. It's not something we should do as fans. Look, the Creed films are great. That's all we need. I don't care if they're as good as the Rocky films. That's not what's important. What's important is, are they good movies just in and of themselves? And the Creed movies are great, I think. Are they Rocky 4? No. But are they great? They're great. Yeah, so I don't really pay attention much to that. Boy, guys, you have no idea how bad my throat hurts right now. Trevor Macy writes, hey, John, big fan. Thank you so much, Trevor. Just had, I think, a good idea. All right, let's see. What would you think about the Muppets hosting the Oscars? No social media drama. Dude, here's the thing. Somebody would come up with something to complain about it. And unfortunately, the fact of the matter is the Muppets are not as popular today as they were at some point. So I would be down for it. I would totally be down for it. But I'm telling you, somebody somewhere is going to say, in 1985, Doug Henson's son said this at a party once, and we should be outraged that the Muppets should be hosting. Someone's going to come up with something. I guarantee you somebody's going to come up with something. Aside from that, I'm just not sure. There was an allure to the idea of the Muppets hosting the Oscars about 5 years ago as we were a little bit closer to that Muppets movie. Be a tough sell now. But hey, I'd be down for it. You got me on board, Trevor, so you can mark that down as a win. BW Rosa writes, do you feel female shapeshifter comedy... Do I feel a female shapeshifter comedy could... I have no idea what you're asking, BW. Sorry about that, man. Demetrius Dinda writes, my daughter's name is Isla Skywalker because she was born on May 4th, 2017. That, sir, is some good parenting. That, sir, is some good parenting. You know, I told this story the other day, but Ann and I honestly talking about what the names of our children would be. And we're not kidding. We think if we have a daughter, we may very well name her Skywalker. Serious. We may name her Skywalker. Because you can then call her Sky. You can call her Sky for short. A guy, Maximus, probably, or Han. But that's because we love Gladiator and we love Star Wars. So Maximus or Han, maybe. But yeah, we're thinking our first daughter will probably be named Skywalker. So there you go. But that, Sir Demetrius, that is some good parenting. By the way, I love the name Demetrius. It's the name of one of the characters in my book, in my novel, The Pride. Anyway, Stephen Richards writes, just saw Flight of the Navigator. Oh, I love Flight of the Navigator. You know, we've had some big discussions over the years, Stephen, about whether Flight of the Navigator is one that is ripe for a reboot. I would say yes. I think I think you've got some nostalgia factor. I think it's a theme, and that's a narrative that would tell well today. It's certainly one that would benefit from modern technology. I'm all for it, man. I'm totally all for it. Ethan Evans writes, what directors do you think really have... Okay, let me try that again. What directors do you think have really understood the characters they made movies for? For me, it's Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, Richard Donner, Superman, Christopher Nolan, Batman. Well, I mean, there's a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Out of those three, I'd say the one who had the best understanding of their character was probably Sam Raimi with Spider-Man. He did something really great capturing the teen awkwardness of Spider-Man / Peter Parker. Christopher Nolan made brilliant Batman films. But I don't think it was the most true expression of the character of Batman. The best Batman movies, but not necessarily the most true expression of who Batman is. To me, the Batman we got in Batman vs. Superman is the most true expression of the character of Batman, I think. But clearly The Dark Knight was a better movie. The Dark Knight was a better movie, for sure. I'm not saying otherwise. So yeah, I'll go Sam Raimi on that. But there's a good debate to be had there, though, Ethan. That's why I think your question's so good. There's a good debate to be had there. The Richard Donner Superman, especially the Superman of that era. I mean, Superman has changed over the years, but the Superman of that era, Donner clearly got him in that era. So very good debate to be had there, Ethan. That's what makes that question so good. I'll let you guys debate that a little bit more in the comment section because, I think Ethan just asked a killer question. Jump in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think and how would you answer that. All right. Lee Mallinson writes. I lost Lee. There he is. Lee Mallinson writes, the director of the Ted Bundy movie also directed the Ted Bundy tapes documentary. I did not realize that. Just released on Netflix. Is this a new form of movie making? Well, I mean, having directors of one version of a story direct another one, that's always been around. I mean, as a matter of fact, even like the horror film from the other year, The Lights Out, which I thought was a great little horror film, that was based on a short YouTube, like a little 3-minute YouTube movie called Lights Out. It was totally based on that and directed by the same guy. So I don't think it's a new form of movie making per se, but I do find that interesting. And now I really got to watch that documentary on Netflix. Now because you're the second guy here, Lee, to mention it. I got to totally go, because I didn't realize, full disclosure, I didn't realize it was the same guy who directed that. I didn't know that. Now I'm super interested. I got to go see that. All right. Trevor Massey writes, hey, John, what is your favorite U2 song and can you sing it for us? Well, I'm not going to sing it for you. But I could pull out my guitar and play it for you. Anyway, my favorite U2 song is also my all-time favorite song. Because it's not just musically brilliant with great, like very distinguishable instrument play and stuff like that. The song is deep and it's got great meaning and it's rich and it's just awesome. And my all-time favorite song, period, is Where the Streets Have No Name by U2. To me, the single greatest song ever written by mankind. I love Where the Streets Have No Name. It's deep. It's got meaning. It's rich. The music is great for it. To me, it's the greatest song of all time. And one of the reasons why U2 is my favorite band of all time because of that song. But no, maybe under the best of circumstances, maybe I'd hum a few bars, but my throat's killing me right now. So I will not sing that one, but that is my all-time favorite one. C.E. Nelson writes, my voice is actually starting to go now. C.E. Nelson writes, have a nice evening, John, and thanks for all you do. Thank you, C.E., and thanks for hanging out here. I mean, we're getting close to 3 hours in this video, and you guys have been here hanging out with me, talking movies. That's why I love our community here, guys. So thank you, C.E., and I hope you have a great evening, too. All right. Demetrius, good parenting skills. Demetrius writes, got excited seeing Ghostbusters teaser in that little teaser. Felt like jumping in this universe again. And that's Reitman. Seems like a perfect fit. Dude, there is something so poetically right. Something so poetically right about Jason Reitman directing a Ghostbusters movie. The son of Ivan Reitman, the director of the original films, and Jason just might be an even better director than his old man is. There's something just poetically right about the legacy of that. Jason Reitman is an outstanding director, just in his own right, and for him to come in and do another Ghostbusters movie is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic, and I mean, the teaser was whatever. It's look, the car. I mean, the teaser is whatever. Yeah, it put a grin on my face, and I like seeing nothing special. But yeah, there's just, again, I'll say it again, but something so politically Reitman about him doing that. And again, I got to check to see if that's my wife texting me, and it is. Okay, great. This time it was my wife getting a hold of me to let me know that we've got a delivery of, we bought a new fridge. My wife and I bought a new fridge, and it's being delivered today. And she just texted me to tell me it's coming in 40 minutes, so I'm good. I don't know if I'll be able to talk to them, but it's good. So that's, so I'm with you, Demetrius, completely with you. And finally, Nathan Oswald writes, is this the longest open mic? Actually, no. Last Saturday, this one is now at 2 hours and 50 minutes. Last Saturday's open mic was 3 hours and 18 minutes. So that one beat this one by 28 minutes. By 28 minutes. Well, we'll probably be done in about 4 or 5 minutes. So it'll beat it by about 20 minutes. And then just a $1 one just got sent in. Thank you for whoever that was. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here and being a part of this little chat that we had today. I certainly had a great time doing it, and thank you for being here. You know, I'm loving it. Last Saturday was the first time that I said, you know what, guys? We're just going to go as long as you want. And it was 3 hours and 18 minutes. So I thought I'd try it again today, but I guess I had to cut us a little bit short because my voice is going. You know what? Next time, I'll see if I can get Ashley here. Because even if I just had somebody reading the questions, because I've probably got about 10 pages worth of questions you guys sent in that we just answered, right? That's 10 pages worth of reading. Maybe I could have gone a little bit longer. But maybe I'll see if I can get Ashley in next time to read the questions. But I'm loving this Saturday. We just go as long as we want. I'm loving this. This seems kind of fun. Thank you guys for being here and being a part of this. Don't forget, I'm going to do another open mic tomorrow. Maybe not as long as you want. Probably about an hour long. We're going to do another open mic tomorrow. And then, of course, Monday, the John Campea Show returns. I'm going to share some pictures and stuff like that of me and Ann doing our Lego experience that we did today, which was a lot of fun. Make sure you come back and join me and Robert for the John Campea Show on Monday and also throughout the week. Guys, and again, thanks so much. This has been an awful lot of fun. I love having a group of friends I can always turn to in our community just to talk movies for a couple of hours. It's the best thing in the world. So again, guys, thanks for being here. My name's John Campea, and until our next video, bye-bye.